letter carriers say they've been working for more than 500 days without a contract, and today they made their voices heard on the streets of
USPS failed to protect Eugene Gates and others.
Can't take it no more.
Mail carrier robbed at gunpoint.
Yes, are targeting these mail carriers for their universal keys.
Nearly 1,200 reported attacks and other assaults on postal workers just last year alone.
So again, my name is John Murphy, branch 4716 out of Naples, Florida. I am one of the co-hosts of Next Generation Carriers podcast. And I'll pass this over to Chris.
All right. Thank you, Brother John, on that one too. My name's Christopher Zampieri, branch 18. I'm a 9-year letter carrier. Though actually if you minus my CCA time, I'm only about 5.5. So I also, because of this, the no layoff provision, I'm not covered by the 6-year thing. So I'm also concerned about this contract and what's going on too. But thank you for that, John. That was great.
My name's James Capone. I'm branch president of branch 764, 18-year letter carrier in Dedham, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Corey. I mean, I know it's weird for you to introduce yourself, but a little intro of where you are and where you're from.
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right. Corey Walton, branch 4, Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been delivering mail for about 32 years now.
All right, awesome. So I got a couple questions. I just want to sort of just little things here too. Question here, because you like war movies, right? You're a big fan of them all. Oh, thank God.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the best World War II movie? If you had to pick one.
Well, let's see. That's a good one.
I know.
I love Patton. I mean, it was
solid
to me. Yeah, that's a great one. You can't count series. I'd go Band of Brothers. You know, that to me that's the greatest.
Correct. All right, two correct answers on. I was going to ask which would you like, by the Pacific or Band of Brothers, but the correct
Band of
answer
Brothers.
was Band of Brothers. Yeah, Pacific.
Band
that
of
was
Brothers.
a letdown. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a love story.
Right, yeah, I know. I mean, my thing is for World War II, Saving Private Ryan, because I mean, it's on the same vein. You know, it's hard to mix those two. That made World War II a violent movie. I didn't know World War II was violent because I watching all the John Wayne movies as a kid, and then I was like a horror movie watching that one. So, all right. Second
Nobody
question.
did a John Wayne impression. I'm impressed. Thankfully.
All right. What's a better movie, Glory or The Patriot?
The Patriot.
Oh, okay. It's hard to pick. I mean, they're two different timelines, but all right. Glory for me, but also Patriot's a great one. So, all right. And finally, this is a question. Without looking, no cheating. How many pictures of Brian Renfro are on the cover of the current 2025 March Postal Record?
Is this going to be the Hell No rallies?
Yep, this is this one right here that just came in. I like to count how many pictures he puts himself on the cover.
I'll say 6.
Close. 5. There are 5 pictures of him on. Guy needs to calm down. So
hey, look, it's like the Oprah Winfrey magazine. Oprah's always on it. Nobody has ever owned her magazine cover. It's always her. That's the same thing with Renfro. Anything that is NELC, Renfro's face is going to be on it.
Yep. I mean, I get he's the president, but 5 just on the cover alone. This guy needs this. You talk about narcissism, right? So yeah.
I will say I don't remember seeing any other presidents as much as him.
No. And the rest of the magazine, 12 photos of. If you keep going through it one by one, it's just him. Like, we get it. You're the president.
He's his biggest fan.
Oh. All right. So now, did you guys have a rally, and how? Because we've been a lot of us have been talking about these Fight Like Hell rallies. Did you go to yours? What was it like? How many people did you turn out?
This is going to be crazy, and this is a true story.
Branch
4 had one. I don't know how many attended. Nobody told me. Nobody told me where it was at. I had no idea the address. I had no idea until somebody messaged me and said, "Hey, people are asking where you at." I said, "For what?" The rally. I said, nobody even told me where it was at. Nobody's informed me. It's like I was blackballed from a rally. I was like, damn.
And at least for the most part, with our region, they sent out letters to every office and everything else, had them on the union board and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing.
With the wrong time on it too, which
Yeah,
was great. And they got
that
the
had
time
happened, yeah.
wrong. Right. We're getting reports back from all over the country, and what majorly disappointed me really is some of these cities. Now, that's a classic story. They didn't even tell you. Someone who's involved with the union. New York City is a city of 8.8 million people, 200 people in New York City. I mean, I feel like some of the top layers of the bureaucracy did a really bad job with getting the word out. I mean, like I said, people didn't know about it. Mailers are nice, but mailers are not face-to-face conversations. Us in Boston's not a big city, but Capone and I, along with Greg and a bunch of other people, and I can name off everyone in the build, but it was Build the Fighting NELC really in Boston that got it. We got like 650 people in a smaller city. And we got politicians and the media to show up to do this. Meanwhile, like, how do you have New York City? San Francisco had 200 to 300, I'm hearing. Like, this is a bad, like, I don't think our union is in the business of getting out the word and organizing a fight at all. Like, I mean, John told me his. I mean, would you have, John, like 50 where you were? Like,
down in Naples, we have about like, this is probably I'll jump in. So we have around 200 carriers. We had about 10% turnout. I think the point is that our national union has been so stale for so long, for so many decades, that we actually don't know how to mobilize, and we need to start learning how to mobilize, because we need to start mobilizing for the next contract. We actually have to fight for better wages. But my point is that national has done a terrible job mobilizing us, as we've actually learned that Renfro actually didn't care about mobilizing us. It was more to dilute the momentum. And I was saying this to other people. It's like, if he was serious about fighting like hell, as not just him, but going forward, we should have been busing people to the state capitals and rallying at state capitals. Like down here in Florida, there was like 20 people. I think there was more rural carriers, and it's like, we don't have an experienced organizing department or anything. And this is what people want to see is going forward. Is we want to see the militancy. We want to see how to actually fight. And this rally, I feel it was a good pep rally for the members, right? Like, we went out there and we shook hands and held and honked and waved, and like, but it actually didn't accomplish much other than making local news, which is nice. But if we actually want to show a threat, if we want to show that we're serious, we needed a lot higher turnout if we're serious about fighting back.
right.
So I'm hoping going forward, the CLC is on board with days of actions as in mobilizing the membership instead of just the phone banking. So Corey, what are your thoughts on mobilizing the membership, and how would you do this differently to mobilize a day of action?
The thing about Renfro is that's a motto, fight like hell. And that's a motto because he got his ass trounced in this TA, and he had to come out acting like he's swinging. He's not a fighter. If you're going to fight like hell, if you are a fighter, you're always a fighter. You just don't learn that. You're always a fighter. You go back to Mr. Gates. I was saying, get out in the fucking streets and fight for us. That's who you are if you're a fighter. This guy doesn't know how to fight. And so when he says fight like hell, it's above him. That's out of his realm. He doesn't understand how to fight. So what you do is you get people in office like James Henry, who knows how to fight. That dude's a fighter. And so when you say that, yes, you have to get in the streets. You have to make the public aware of our plight. And how do you do that? You get in the fucking streets, and you go down the streets, and you march in the streets. You look at anything dealing with the civil rights, what they do? They didn't just get on the telephone and say, hey, we need to change shit. They got out in the fucking street. And so this clown, Renfro, has no idea how to fight. It's not in his DNA how to fight. And so, yeah, you got to get fighters in there that understand that's who they are, that's their DNA. That's what you got to do first. And so you do that, and that'll correct all this shit. The problem is our union has no fight, and it starts with these two clowns at the top. Am I able to say words on this? I know that y'all
You say
gave me a
whatever
list.
words you want.
Yep.
I got
Please.
John sent me a list of words I can't say.
There was only one. There was only one.
I've got those hung up right here in front of me. I'm keeping an eye on those. And so, but yeah, John, you got to get in the streets. You got to get in the streets, man, and let people. I said that back, like I said, when our brother Eugene Gates died, and management sitting all these messages out, keep it moving, beat the heat. You bring awareness to your plight in the street, in the public. I said you need to make commercials. We're losing the narrative right now to the public. I saw a poll on Fox News the other day. Somebody sent it to me, where they're saying 70% saying they need to privatize us. That's because they are winning the narrative. We've got to win the narrative. We've got to tell the public, educate the public who we are, what we're about. I've been saying that on my podcast forever. What we're about. Educate them. That's all it takes is some education. We got a clown that doesn't have a clue how to educate the public. It's beyond his scope. And so we're fucked for another year and a half. The city letter carriers, like I said, we're going to do it ourselves. We will do this ourselves. And we shown in the TA that we know how to do shit. And that's what happened. And so we'll do it ourselves until the CLC can take over this thing and get this thing back right.
So, I'm following up with, holding days of actions. How would you guys plan on activating the members? As it's been said, and it seems there's an issue of activating the members. I feel like we have a great group of younger members that have the ability to be activated, but we're not reaching them at the national level. What would you guys do differently to reach them?
The problem right now is you've got 15 different unions because you got 15 different regions.
Yep.
And your business agents should take that and run with that. First off, you got to get a president that motivates them to do that. But if you got 15 different unions, you're going to have 15 different results. Just like y'all are saying, you've got 50 over here, 600 over here, 20 over here. This union has got to be a union, one union again, instead of 15 different unions. That's where everything is fucked up, is because we don't want you over here in our region. We'll take care of shit over here. You don't have a president that's getting in people's asses saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a day of action. Y'all best be on the phones to these branches. Make sure whichever city you got, we're going to make sure that thing is flooded with our members. Get out into these branches. Get off your asses in these business agents' office. Get out there amongst the people and motivate these people to have these rallies. And so you got to start with going away with 15 different fucking unions. That's where we're at.
And with that, actually, I bring a good question. Mike Cariff was on, I believe it was a couple episodes, and he had discussed about the charges he's filing in regards to last time they'd had a meeting, the executive council, and he said it was right before the convention. He said they've been doing WebExes, but there isn't much of a feeling that that's fully a meeting style. Does that surprise you, and is that something you would do differently than what's going on with getting them in a room together and having full-on meetings?
You talking about WebExes as far as in-person meetings?
In regards to, yes. I mean, so they've been doing WebExes. The impression we got was that the WebExes aren't really actual meetings in the forum and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they haven't had one in 8 months.
Yeah, I want people sitting around me. Not that I'm all that, but I want to see people's faces, and so that you can tell them directly, this is exactly what you're going to do. Now, business agents are voted in, so they can tell you really to go kiss their ass. But if you're about the city letter carrier, which I would hope that the business agents were about, now we see that a lot of these business agents are about kissing Renfro's ass. But if you're about the city letter carrier, then that should be a very easy sell. You have them come up and you say, this is what we're going to do. We're kind of under attack right now from administration that we don't know really what's going on. We're going to mobilize our people, and y'all are going to do it, and have them up there, send them up to Washington and sit them at a table and say, this is the game plan. All 15 of y'all. This is what we're going to do. WebEx that's management type shit to me. That's how they do shit. You know, these teleconferences and these calls and shit like that. This union needs to be about that business again. We've gotten fat and lazy in everything that we do. And so, yeah, I need people up there in front of me so I can tell them exactly what the fuck's going to happen.
All right, Corey, I got a question too. So recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Beyond Formal A training, which everyone, please go to it. It's one of the greatest experiences I've ever experienced in my life. Being in a room with 80 dedicated union of activists, learned a lot that week. So some people did recognize me from the show, and one thing that comes up over and over is like, who's going to replace, Brian Renfro? Who's going to be the candidate? And we talk about it over and over. And this was a great bar conversation we had over a lot. But one thing that comes up and people say is that, are we concerned that we could split the vote and Renfro could get in? So how do you feel about possibly doing either a primary or some kind of debate between all three candidates before Election Day?
Here's my thought on that. First off, Renfro won't do one. He was challenged to one. He's not going to do it. I know that Mike Cariff is talking about a primary with James Henry. Mike Cariff needs James Henry. James Henry does not need Mike Cariff. They had a primary, and that was the vote of that committee of 7, if we want to get into it. And so in that vote of 7, they went over who they were voting for, why they were voting for that person, and Mike lost 7-0. So there was a primary. Now, who are you going to have the primary with? Say that James Henry volunteers to do a primary with Mike Cariff. Who's going to vote? Are we going to send out a ballot to every person in the country? Are we going to do it to Cariff people? Henry people?
Internet vote.
Huh?
Internet vote.
An internet vote of who?
People watch it. I mean, so in my view, I think it'd be a great chance for education for people to listen to the voices, discuss certain topics, and
maybe just a
educate the younger
debate would
fan
be
base.
fine. But like people like I think everyone's united on Renfro has to go. But the second question is the one that stumbles people. Which one is it going to be? And I think I'm going to be, I'll just point my finger. I'm happy either way, whoever wins. If it's James Henry, I'm jumping up and down. If it's Mike Cariff, I'm jumping up. I think we're all happy, but a lot of people are just concerned this could split. And we'll stuck with this idiot again for another 4 years. So that's the thing.
Here's my thing. If we're going to talk about who we want, let's say that if you're looking at somebody that, if you're in trouble, let's do it this way. If there was only a way to see who would be most effective in a meeting between someone neutral, somebody that would represent us, right? You three are in a bar and y'all leave the bar and somebody gets killed. And they say that you three are the ones who did it. They're going to convict y'all of manslaughter. They charged you with it. And you're going and looking for an attorney. And you're going to say, which attorney would best represent me? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're wanting. We're wanting that person that best represents us, right? And you go to the first attorney and you say, hey, what's your record? And they say, well, I've only had one case. But I do have a plea deal. Well, what's the plea deal? Well, I pled that the person would go to jail for life, but I did get a lot of business off of that. They promised they would give me some business off of that. You're just like, okay. So you go to the second person and you say, what's your record? Well, I've had 33 cases before, 33 homicide cases. Okay, that's a little bit better. So what's your record? Well, I'm 19 and 14, so I'm a little bit above 50%. Well, that's better than the first person because he seemed like a sellout. And you go to the third person. What's your record? Now, remember, we're talking about people in front of somebody neutral. And they said, I've had 146 cases. Really? Well, that's pretty good. What's your record? Well, I'm 106 and 40, about 70-some percent. If you understand what that means, you would pick the one with the largest percentage. Why? Because they're ones that are more adept at going in front of somebody neutral and persuading that person on your views. With that larger person, the 72%, that's me. James Henry is at 84% with 157 cases. So what I'm saying is, if you say that we need a primary and you're going to have two people talking, and this has pissed me off for fucking ever, this conversation. We had a primary between two people, and one agreed that they would accept the results of that primary. They gave their word that they would accept the results of that primary, the vote of 7. They gave their word to everybody that they would accept those results. To me, twice, gave his word that he would accept those results. Only until he lost did he say, I don't accept it. He came out afterwards and he said, hey, I got your back, James Henry. I support you 100%. And let's run with it. Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do it. He told me twice, I've got your back. I've got the CLC's back. Whatever James needs me to do, I'm going to do it. Why in the fuck would I give somebody an opportunity to primary me after they've told me already that they've had my back, told everybody else in the CLC they had their back, and then we're going to say, we'll do a primary. He's already shown me he's going to be dishonest with me, and I love the guy. I've had him on my fucking podcast. But fuck it, at some point we're going to have to move the fuck on from this cat. The CLC is who we are. James Henry is the choice of the fucking CLC. Mike Cariff had his opportunity, and he lost that opportunity. And so, goddamn, I mean, we're going to sit here for the next fucking year and talk about a primary or this person or that person. James Henry is the pick of the CLC. Nobody else. He is the pick of the CLC through a vote that both parties agreed to. Mike Cariff called for the vote. He's the one, everybody else is saying, hey, let's hold off on this thing. Let's hold off on this vote. He called for it, and he lost. And now he's still saying, we need a primary. Baby, move on. You're running for president, Mike. Good for you. James Henry is the pick of the CLC. He will not unbe the pick of the CLC. It's just that fucking simple. So no, there will be no primary. I'll speak for James, and he'll probably be pissed that I did that. But there was an opportunity for Mike to do the right thing, and he chose not to. And so I would not entertain, if I'm James, I would not entertain any talk of a primary because it's already happened. You know, and I heard the episode, and I may be getting off onto something here, but I heard the episode where Mike was talking, he was running down the CLC. And I'm not going to get into all that. Now, if y'all ask me about that shit, I'll get into it, but I'm not going to get into all that. But after the vote, he gave everybody his word, text messages, phone calls, and he's saying, I've got your back. James, I've got your back. I've already talked about that. And then he said that people after that were saying, hey, man, we think you should be president. That's what he was saying on y'all's podcast. We think you should be president. That's the crux of it all right there. That tests a character of a man right there. When you've already given your word that you had James Henry's back, that whatever James Henry needed you to do, you're going to do it. And then you have somebody say, we think you should be president. That's kind of the Adam and Eve effect. You listen to that and you let that persuade you out of your word. What should have happened is if somebody said, Mike, we think you should have been president. No, sir. I'm not going to entertain that because I've already given people my word that I'm going to have James Henry's back. I'm going to be with the CLC. I've already given my word to too many people. That's the crux of it. When it came time to test his character, he failed because he listened to these outside voices saying, we think you should be president. You should be president. He should have stopped immediately and said, no, sir. I gave my word to James Henry and the CLC. This is how it's going to be. When he came back against his word, why in the fuck would we primary anybody like that? I've got somebody like that now up at fucking National. That motherfucker can't keep his word for shit. All this talk about primary, all this talk about Mike and Henry. Mike Cariff needs James Henry. James Henry does not need Mike Cariff. James Henry will be the next president of the NALC. Mark my words on that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. All right. I like the passion.
I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Okay, that's fine. And look, I don't. And one thing we talked about, that was a big thing between the early days, and I get that. That's a conversation. I know there's another side to that, and if people can go back and hear what Mike Cariff said about it, and I know we had Paul talk about it too, and I understand that day. As of now, but today, March of 2025, there's going to be 3 names on the ballot. We know Renfro ain't going to show up. But for a conversation, not at primary, maybe because we were like, should we say primary, but maybe just a debate, but a respectful debate, just a debate on where they stand, what's their vision of the union, things like maybe something like that. Because I think you're right. The primary was a CLC thing. I think it's a done deal. CLC made their choice, and I respect that too. But maybe just a debate between the two, live stream it, do it in person. But what about maybe something like that? Because the primary is done. You're right. The primary's out.
Yeah, that would be between those two. If I'm James, I'm keeping doing what I'm doing. James has all the momentum right now, and I'm talking about all the momentum. If I'm James, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to entertain nothing. Like I said, Mike needs James. James does not need Mike. Trust me. James Henry is on fucking fire right now. And so if I'm James, I'm going to keep along this course that he's been talking about. I could go on about that, but I'm not going to speak for James on that. If he wants to sit down with Mike and them talk about their plans, again, when you go back to what happened, that was part of the thing when they came back after Mike said, "I've got your back." They had that Zoom and everything went to shit, and they said, "Let's put in our plans. Let's put in what we're going to do, who we are, what's going to be our top things that we're going to do," and before they could turn those in, Mike launched his bid for presidency. So why should James keep having to come back and entertain anything with Mike Cariff? If I'm James, I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to entertain with him. You had an opportunity to do all that before. And then you launched your presidency before we could even see the plans, before we could even vote on the plans. So if I'm James, I'm moving on from Mike Cariff. I don't need Mike Cariff. And here's the thing about it, guys. Mike Cariff and I still talk today. I picked him up from his hotel and took him to my union meeting a couple of weeks ago. I love Mike Cariff. I love that guy. I wish and prayed that he would have kept his word and stayed with the CLC. I wish and prayed he would have done that. But I love the guy. I'm sure we'll talk about this episode. But if I'm James, I'm moving the fuck on. I'm not entertaining Mike Cariff. He's already had his opportunity twice and went back on his word.
So with that, Corey, there's a 2-part question. Actually, real quick, first off, I heard Mr. Henry on your podcast, and he dropped Master P. He said, bout it. Chris had told me during training he had dropped a Kendrick Lamar reference. Is James Henry a rap fan? Because that blew my mind when I heard that. I'm like, that's Master P.
Now listen, James Henry, if you go to eat anywhere with him, he likes rap.
I love that. I love that.
He will hit your ass with some rap. He's not going to hit y'all with any, but he'll hit your ass with some rap on the sly.
I had mentioned this guy.
You got to remember, he's from Compton.
Yeah, I had mentioned to these guys. I said they all may, you might have all the personalities, may not be getting along. I bet for hell they can make a great fucking playlist because Renfro already said he's a metal fan. I'm like, Henry likes rap.
Now, did you say Renfro was a metal fan?
He told us, yes, he was a doom metal fan. He liked Pantera, Crowbar.
What?
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Bullshit.
He said it, and he named it, and he was just spitting them off. I'm like, oh, all right.
You named a couple. I was surprised.
I
I did not see
I thought
it.
he'd like country or easy, like, boat music or
He's
something, yacht
Backstreet
rock.
Boys.
He
He's
told me the
Backstreet
same
Boys
thing.
and all that
Ah.
shit.
When everybody was doing the messaging Renfro at the beginning of the contract being dropped, I'd messaged him and I said, "Hey, by the way, everybody's messaging all this other stuff. What's your favorite color?" And he ended up telling me his favorite colors are black and pink and emerald. And then he asked what music I listen to and all this shit. Yeah, he listens to metal for sure. Can confirm.
So with the real question, what's the biggest change you've seen to the carriers in the past 8 years that has really, really affected the job? And what's the biggest change you or the CLC plans to do for the letter carriers, the NLC in general?
Well, the biggest change obviously is our conversion over to parcels. I mean, that's been going on, but the mail volume, how it is now, the parcels, how carriers are having to adjust to route count and inspections based solely majority off of parcels. That's been a big transition. Obviously, the workroom floor. Now, you talk about just over the last year or year and a half, it's opening the door with these scanners. A lot more responsibility on that with the scanners. I deliver every single day, and management's kind of hijacking that scanner and using it against us is probably the biggest thing that's happened in the last 20 years is them hijacking that scanner, basing every single thing off of the scanner. And they got that through those memos, 1983. And then now you got these telematics and things like that, things we're going to have to combat. But I would just say that route count inspections, carriers having to learn to make 8 hours off of large parcel volume rather than volume of mail, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm glad you
Oh,
brought
what's
the
the NLC going to do? What's
Yes,
the
go ahead.
NLC? Okay, I think that the change that you're going to see with the CLC is, I keep saying it's going to be more aggressive, but there are going to be things come out soon, maybe within the next day or two, a major change with the CLC ticket, and you're going to have when we talk about the big issues that city letter carriers go through, and that's James's kind of his thing is what are the top issues the city letter carrier is going through on the workroom floor, and that's what you're going to address. You heard me talk about these dogs of war. Now, if I'm getting off base, stop me so I don't waste y'all's time.
No, go ahead.
But you're talking about the dogs of war, the complete success that was when we tell people to sign in on that. That already got that taken care of. Now that was James's main thing, is the toxic working environment, addressing that because that affects your home life, that affects your spouse, that affects your significant other, your children, your health. That's number one, and so we've already taken care of that. That's already settled. So when on day one, those things will start being implemented. You talk about non-compliance, and y'all have heard me say these things a bunch. The backlog of grievances, that's another issue that we're having because management has hijacked the grievance procedure. And the cease and desist, Barner has completely sold us out with Lloyd on the cease and desist. That's the biggest thing we have to help with non-compliance. That's where we start. And you've got arbitrators now refusing to give cease and desist based off of management's arguments. They understand you got Lloyd and Barner going into these DRTs saying no more cease and desist. Arbitrations is another thing that's going to be one of the biggest things. We're going to get back in arbitration. Nobody knows arbitration better than James Henry. The importance of arbitration, the weapon that is. I was talking to an arbitrator the other day, and this individual, I don't do arbitrations anymore, so I can say this. But the arbitrator and I were standing outside, was fixing to leave, and this arbitrator said, my wife listens to your podcast. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And he said, arbitration. He said, y'all have forgotten about the weapon of arbitration. And I said, yes. Yes, you're right. We have. You've got to get back into arbitration. That's a weapon for us. And branches that are overwhelmed with grievances. So many people contact me and said, man, we're months behind on grievances. We've got these running time limit extensions, sending them help, making sure that we have things in place to get those grievances done. And just basically all the issues that Renfro has created for us that we're going to have to overturn. And it's a monumental task, but those are just a few of the things that we're going to address immediately. Some things will take a little bit longer, but look here, man. If you love the city letter carrier with all your heart, and I love the city letter carrier with all my heart, if you do that, you will succeed because you will want to succeed. You will do everything within your power to succeed because their happiness depends on it, depends on you succeeding. The advancement of the city letter carrier depends on you succeeding. And you will do everything in your power to succeed, to win. If you love the city letter carrier, it starts and ends right there. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but it sounded good to me.
You did. Actually, you mentioned telematics. I want to go mention that real quick.
Yeah.
So, telematics is becoming a big thing right now. I filed agreements when they first came through in regards to, they weren't notifying us before they were installing them, and went through a back and forth thing with management. I had actually looked up on the website for the telematics and looked up reviews, and it explained how other unions had a situation where they were told it would not be used for disciplinary issues or the driver report cards or anything else. And then the unions were leaving statements saying, well, now after a couple of months of having them, they were then used against us. With Article 5 saying they have to unilaterally work with the technology, they knew these were going to be used for discipline at some point.
Yes.
And it was never explained to us. It was never, hey, this is going to be coming down a hill. This is what they're looking at to do with it. And what did we get protection for that?
Yeah. Here's the thing about the telematics and what I would do if I was in a position to do something. To me, that's a national level grievance. It just is. Why? They're already doing it. You can't lose. You can't lose a national level grievance. Like you just said, these are the things that they told us they were for. We were told that they were for vehicles that were broken down, that VMF could locate those vehicles. We were told that it was for maintenance, or the VMF knew which vehicles need to be maintained, taken in for maintenance. That's what we were told. Now, they may have been told something different at National and just didn't tell us about it. But just like anything else, they bastardized that and they found a way to watch us. These seatbelts, I don't know if the motherfucker's right or not. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Now they're saying that there's a report come out saying that a lot of them are not accurate and that they're telling them, take them all back in to make sure these seatbelt fasteners are accurate, that they're working properly. Well, how many people are going to get disciplined that don't know that?
Yeah, and not only that, they had mentioned that they would send out driver report cards from the website that has it. That their answer was, it doesn't identify the driver. It won't say Corey Walton, but it'll have your vehicle number. Well, we all know what vehicle Corey Walton takes because that's his vehicle every day, and it does assign it to the person.
Yeah.
And it's going to go how fast, how slow, stops, all that stuff.
Yeah. Somebody sent me that. I saw that. Yes, and it has each route, the percentage of time that you didn't have your seatbelt on. 25% of the time Corey didn't have a seatbelt on. And so, to me, again, if you say that anything within those four corners of the agreement can be grieved, and we can take those things as interpretive to national level grievance. Under Article 19 is the M39 handbook. And under Section 134 of that, it tells me that they cannot spy on me or use covert techniques once I leave the office, because once I leave the office, I'm now on the street. And if I'm on the street, then it falls under the purview of street management. And if street management tells you exactly how you're going to do that, it says you're going to accompany me on the street if you see some issues, and that you cannot do two things. You cannot spy on me or use covert techniques on me. And to me, if you're saying my seatbelt is snitching on me, How is it doing that? Through GPS. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to ask a national arbitrator if Article 19 covers the M39 handbook, and I believe that everybody in here agrees that it does. If that does that, then it incorporates the M39 and it incorporates Section 134 of the M39 handbook. If it's still valid, which there is no alteration to that or amendment to that, they can't spy on me, use covert techniques. What would you call that? And I would have an arbitrator tell me, well, they can do it, but they still have to come see you, or they still have to go out there and visually do it. They will give you something. Even if you lose, they will give you something. We cannot continue to not go forward with these cases because we're afraid to lose. You hear it all the time. You hear Renfro say it. We just didn't think the hip was a grievance. We just didn't feel like we could win it. Who gives a fuck? They're already doing it. They're falsifying shit. Go fight for us. Fuck. I've always said, the city letter carrier, all they want is for you to fight for them. Just fight for us. If you lose, I don't give a fuck as long as you fought for me. We just don't fight, but that's a long answer for the telematics. I would take that nationally and I would address it. Why? They're already doing it. I can't lose. If the arbitrator says there's no grievance, okay, they're already doing it. Who gives a shit? So anything like that, of course, they took these memos, these scanners, and had rammed that up our ass because of Renfro and that dumbass 1983. He has opened the door, a Pandora's box of ass kicking on us, and management is all over us right now, all over us, and we have no answer because we have nothing from our alleged leader helping us along the way. This motherfucker's lost his last year's Easter egg, and he doesn't have a fucking clue how to fight for us. Now you got telematics coming out. Have y'all heard anything from this motherfucker at the top? I've not heard the first fucking thing. Have y'all heard anything saying, hey, the telematics, this is how we're going to address it? Has your business agent said anything about it? It's all over the fucking place down here on the workroom floor. That's the change that you're going to see when the CLC gets over. If that motherfucker's happening on the workroom floor, we're going to be there in numbers. And so,
All right.
Did that answer your question?
So going forward, as the Lions fight telematics, how is the CLC and Corey Walton as the director of city delivery going to fight audio and visual inside the new vehicles? How are you going to prevent the USPS from putting audio and video inside of our trucks? FedEx, Amazon, and UPS already have these.
Man, let me tell you, did you ever think you would see a day of that shit?
No shit.
I'm out there. What happens if I have a bad day and I'm just farting all damn day, and now you got a fucking scanner going to sit there and record everything I'm doing in that vehicle? Obviously you would take that forward. I mean, you've got to take that nationally. That's an invasion of my privacy. That's my space. It's the Postal Service's vehicle, but that's my fucking space. It would have to go nationally. That's really the only way you could do it. Look, here's the problem that we're having right now at the top. We have no respect from those people we're meeting with at headquarters. They don't respect us. They know that they can do anything to us right now, and we're not going to have any kickback at all. We'll have no fight. So to me, I just don't see it. Seemed like that would be against the fucking law. I mean, it'd be like your employer putting something in the bathroom. To me, I mean, that's my space. I don't see how that's not an invasion of my privacy at some point. I wouldn't let them video me in my case. That's a grievance. You're not going to sit behind me and video me behind my while I'm casing my mail. I've filed grievances on that before and won. Why is this any different? I don't know. I mean, I would revolt like fuck if I'm Renfro and they're recording me and my people and audio and video. I'm raising fucking hell.
I bring this up because me and you probably agree with this both. As like a human rights, right? Like, why are we giving up our basic human rights? If this was the government doing this to us, we'd be in the streets rioting right now if they came in with audio and video. And if they're like, oh, it's to protect your safety and the safety of people around us, And that's what the post office is going to say, right? They're going to say, oh, the audio and the telematics that are visualizing your face to see if you're actually watching the road or watching your cell phone. This is for the safety of the customers and the public. But as a workforce, as a unionized workforce, as just a regular workforce, as working class, we should not be giving up our human rights. And my point is, these trucks, they only built 358 of them last year out of the 200,000 letter carriers. So this is going to be happening in the coming years. We're not all going to get new trucks by the time Renfro gets out of office. So the CLC will be in office.
Yeah.
And we need to be preemptive. We're always playing defense. So I would love the Lions to go from a petting zoo to a safari where we start tearing shit apart. Because right now we have a bunch of chihuahuas, there's a couple of scratches, and that's it. We need bulldogs, and we need a safari of lions. We need to start tearing apart management from the branch level, local level, all the way to district and CLC. And this is one of the biggest things, right? Like, who the fuck wants to do this job, get videotaped, audio recorded, and then have the AI be able to see where your eye contact is while your seatbelt clips are being monitored as well? Like, my manager yesterday was saying, oh, if I get the report, when this comes around and I get the report, like, who doesn't, I'm going to go out there and discipline them. It's about safety. And it's like, well, we all know what's going to happen then. That carrier's just going to clip it into the seat before they even sit down. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of the day. So the whole safety tagline needs to get abandoned. Like, this is a human rights. Like, workers should not give up their human rights when they clock in.
Yeah. Where does that stop, John? Where does that stop? You know, you give them this, and you know management as well as I do. You give them this, where does that stop? At some point, the union has to say enough is a fucking enough on this shit. I assure you, when the CLC gets in, these things will be met head on. I always talk about meeting these motherfuckers in the street head on. I assure you that's going to happen. But where does that end? It was the scanners in 1983, the memos 1983. We allowed both parties to watch us, which y'all know how I feel about that shit. We allowed both parties to watch us and question us based off of something that they perceive off of a scanner. How long have we fought that before this? We have never let management get their foot in the door on anything like that, ever. And now you got a president signing it into existence on these memos. And now look at it. The memos are gone. Now they're using those scanners against us like crazy. You got telematics using that against us like crazy. And now you got what you're talking about. You give these motherfuckers an inch, they'll take a mile. That's just who they are. And so at some point, the union's going to have to stand the fuck up and meet these motherfuckers in the street head on. And we don't have that right now. But once we get in there, I assure you, every fucking thing that they do will be met at a national arbitration, win or lose. But I'm with you, John, on that. That is absolutely asinine that we have things now where you're going to watch me in a vehicle driving around so that where my eyes are at. Holy fuck, man!
A follow up on that. So we have the Rural Carriers Union and the City Letter Carriers Union, and telematics and all this technology is actually affecting both unions. And strength is in numbers. As a director of city delivery, you'll be making $200,000 a year. The union bureaucracy at the top is very heavy on both unions, the Rural Carriers and the City Carriers. If both unions pass resolutions at their conventions to merge into one strong union, and for that to become a reality is for you to step down. Would you step down for the betterment of the city delivery?
Or absolutely. Yeah. Listen to me, guys. Listen, I love the city letter carrier. My passion, my love is the city letter carrier. If it's going to help me to not be director of city delivery, if it's going to help me to go do something else, I'll go do it. If it's meant for me to be an MBA, I'll go do it. If it's meant for me to stay as a city letter carrier, I'll do that. I'm in this for one reason and one reason only. I didn't start this podcast to elevate myself to some kind of position. That's the exact opposite of what I want. I'm about the city letter carrier, period. So yeah, I mean, if anything's gonna make the city letter carrier better, and it means that I'm give up my position, I'll be gone.
So wait, can we get an endorsement of one big postal union?
My father was a rural carrier back in 70s and 80s, and he implored the rural carrier union to merge with us. He was begging them to merge with us. And I think that I remember Rolando when we were talking. I think may have been in COVID when shit was terrible, and we were talking about merging, just kind of taking over a hostile takeover of the rural carrier union. And I would be all for it. I think we should. I think we should absorb the rural carriers union, and yeah, I would do that tomorrow. That's my opinion.
Question for you, Corey, because you talked about something that we're doing here with our the Next Generation Carrier podcast. But when you started this podcast, did you have any idea how big it was going to get for 8 arbitration? Did you even even for us? This was like 4 months ago. Me, John, and Capone were just like, "Hey, why don't we maybe just we'll start a pod. Maybe we'll get 100 people. They'll be our friends, maybe a coworker." But how has that been for you? And also, how is your life work balance between this? Because our phones are constantly going off. Like people want to ask, like, can you ask Corey this? Can you like everyone? Which is great. It's good, and I drink for free at union events now, which is wonderful. But like, I mean, how is that? What's it like for you? Like just being in it, like everybody knows who the hell you are everywhere you go, and how has that been?
Completely crazy. Listen, this is the honest to God's truth. If you know me, and you and I go hang out, I'm not like I am on the podcast. I don't cuss, nothing. Uh, but and it's completely bizarre because truly, I'm a city letter carrier. That's who I am. That's all I've ever done, and did some stuff for the union. But I started this because there's some individuals saying, just like it is today, the smaller branches are not getting any education. That's the only reason I started this. And I didn't want to start it. I didn't even listen to podcasts. I didn't even know how to get one going. And, but I respected these two gentlemen greatly. And so, yeah, I started it just to educate those city letter. And I'm like y'all, like you said, I didn't know if 5 people were going to be listening to it. If 30 people are going to be listening to it, I've always said if it helped one person, I'd keep doing it because there's that one person out there that whatever I'm trying to educate on uh, would pick up on and it would help them. And that's all that mattered to me. And holy shit, it's kind of,
right.
you know, you go,
What the fuck?
you know, yeah. And, but you'll get, I've got 99 messages right now on my Facebook Messenger I've got to get to. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I've got 400 emails that I've got. Probably half of those are discipline that I'm going to help people with. Never thought that that would happen. I love it. I love helping carriers. I love discipline. As crazy as that sounds, but never in a million years did I think that it would be like this. The good thing is that my wife is 100% behind it. She goes everywhere I go. She goes with me. You know, it'll be 9:30 at night. I'll get a phone call, and she'll be like, "I'm going to bed." You know,
You
I'm
too,
sitting
huh?
there- yeah. I'm talking to somebody about a removal they got, and they can't sleep, and so you know, it's flattering. I love the shit out of it, but at heart, man, I'm only a city letter carrier. That's what I've always done. And all this other stuff is great, man. Like you go to Boston, you know, John, you're with me there a little bit. You know, get to meet some fantastic people that you've helped along the way, and that's what it's all about. That's the reason when you talk about if it would be better for the city letter carriers if I step down, I would in a heartbeat because I'm here. I am a city letter carrier. I'm about the city letter carrier. There's nothing I love more other than my family than the city letter carrier, and they are my family. And so, but yeah, from 8 arbitrations starting out to, I'm just going to help you with your case file from the informal all the way up to arbitration. And now you're like, holy shit, man, you know, it's going crazy. But hey, I love my people, man. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Hey, speaking of the convention, I only saw you for like 5 seconds because you had a mob of people around you, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's a good one. Who do you think is the best business agent? Who do you think is the worst business agent right now in the country?
just based off of things that I get.
Yeah.
I would say, this is going to piss some people off. I don't know all of them. There could be some that I just know. I think Eddie Davidson right now would have to be put in that top spot. The way somebody sent me an email that he sent district managers just getting in their fucking ass. That's what I'm about. I love that shit, man. And there are others. But I would say at the top right now, Eddie Davidson. I'm probably getting myself in a lot of. I know James Henry's like, what the fuck? But that's just based off of things I say. I would say at the bottom, it's just as far as the good old boy network. I'd say Mud probably. I would say Thompson may be the worst. Veda Preston is right there as far as just a complete ass kisser to Renfro. And so I would say those are probably at the bottom as far as just the people that contact me.
Now, is the CLC having the Zoom meeting on Saturday? Will they be announcing any challenges to these NBAs?
Well, we've already got Kriebel. You got McGregor. McGregor, you got those two will be filling two of those spots. I don't know about the other one, but I don't know. I'll let James do that.
I'm just bringing this up because I think every business agent owes every member an apology for totally fucking up for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again, I think every business agent should be on the ballot and be challenged. We vote them in, they work for us. I know some business agents say Renfro is their boss, which is a complete sellout statement of
bullshit. Bullshit. The city letter carrier is their fucking boss. Renfro's got a fucking title. The city letter carrier is Renfro's boss. The city letter carrier is Barner's boss. The city letter carrier is every fucking business agent's boss. If everybody took out their fucking dues, is Renfro going to pay them? Fuck no. The city letter carrier pays those motherfuckers. They work for us. They're not motherfucker at the top ain't the fucking boss of us. We're the boss. They have forgotten that. I'll tell you this, John. That's a good point. And Mike and I, we cut up all the time when we talk about the slate. He doesn't believe in a slate. Obviously, the CLC is putting together a slate. Here's my feeling on that. If you have, during the past, John, you're talking about the past 2 years, since this motherfucker's been in as the president. If shit has hit the fan and you took the side of him rather than the city letter carrier, your ass should be voted out. If you took the side of Renfro rather than the city letter carrier, you should be primaried. You should have somebody running against your ass. That's how I feel. I do not want to work with somebody who's a chameleon. I kissed Renfro's ass, during here, but I promise you, I'll be better. I'll do better. I will be on your side. Fuck that. You've already shown me who you are. You've already shown me your true colors. If you sided with Renfro over the carrier, fuck off. That's what I feel. Get the fuck out of here. We've had enough of that shit, man, as a city letter carrier. We've had enough of these motherfuckers that have put in the establishment over the city letter carrier. That's why the CLC is here. Because you've had these motherfuckers for too long putting that establishment, the good old boys, that the NLC hierarchy above the fucking city letter carrier. Motherfuckers got to go.
I was during the Brian Renfro interview that we had with him. I said it was a failure of leadership to not acknowledge that Trump was going to get elected. And he got taken aback by that. And he's like, I didn't say that. And I was like, all right. Like, I'm saying, like, in general, like, there's carriers, and I'm speaking of, like, business agents and everything. Like, we knew this dude was going to get reelected. So if there was an urgency to get this done, the contract should have been done before the election. It should have been done way before. And every business agent that is going to come around and say, oh, we're sorry. And what I'm seeing right now is like a 2013 all over again. Mm-hmm. And the union's going to come around and be like, we didn't see this coming. And like on the chopping block, we don't know how it's going to play out. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I could see Congress going through our retirements and chipping away at our retirements, and this job goes literally from a career to a dead-end part-time job. And people at top of the union bureaucracy is going to be like, we didn't know any better. And it's like, yeah, you listen to your members. Like we were the ones demanding contract rallies. We were the ones demanding open bargaining. I know a lot of people think the union is just Article 8, but for me, a union's bigger than that. The union is bigger than a contract. The union is the working class. We spend we should only spend 8 hours working, but with this job, you need 12 hours, and we're soon going to have 16 hours working here. Thankfully, we got new trucks where we could put a sleeping bag in the back. So going forward, I hope the CLC becomes fighters, and I'm hoping moving forward, the CLC and other branches move forward with constitutional amendments where we put side by side open bargaining into the Constitution. We expand the bargaining committee away from Renfro. So I would love to hear what Corey Walton feels should happen to a bargaining committee.
Yeah, here's the thing about that, John. That's a great question. You've got, and I talked a little bit about this the other day, but you've got 90 days of negotiation, right? When it starts, you've got 90 days. Now, Renfro will tell you they've already started on the next contract right now. They're already getting prepared for that one right now. If that's the case, you've got 90 days to negotiate. You got 60 days of mediation after that, where we're going to talk to each other, going to try to still work things out. You know, at the end of 150 days, if you're going to go forward. At the end of 150 days, we're going to arbitration, period. If I'm president, 150 days, we're going to arbitration. I don't need 3 months. I'm coming in there, you know, you got this fool talking about we're not going to accept anything less than 9%. That's going to take me 30 minutes of negotiation. It'll take me 30 minutes. And that's just to exchange pleasantries with everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, look here. Here's what I told my people. I'm going to need 9%, and I can't take anything less. We can't do that. Okay. Then let's set a date for arbitration. That's as far. And look, here's the thing. It's what he said. He said, I will not accept anything less than 9%. So to me, your bargaining position is very easy. I'm going to accept nothing less than 9% because that's what you told the members. I'm going to accept nothing less than 9%. I will not accept anything less than an all-career workforce, John. So if you're sitting across the table from me and I say, hey, John, I'm not going to accept anything less than an all-career workforce, what do you say? Can't do it. Then we're going to go to arbitration because I've told my members that we can't accept anything less than an all-career workforce. But to me, at the end of 150 days, John, we're going to arbitration. You have to know by the end of 3 months if you're going to be able to get what you want. You don't need 600 days to try to get 1%. That's asinine. He knew what he was doing there. He knew that they was going to shortchange us. That's the reason he drugged that shit out. But I would say 150 days we're going. I agree about open bargaining. I agree with that. There's nothing wrong with it. And people saying, well, it's going to let the Postal Service know what we're asking for. What? That makes no sense. If they don't know what we're asking for at the end of 3 months, what in the fuck are we doing in there? They're going to know what I'm asking for on the first fucking day. They're going to know because why? This is what I'm asking for. We've done our research. We've done our homework. We've looked in the books. We've looked at the data. This is what we're asking for. How are we looking? I don't need 600 days to try to hammer out 1.3%. And so I think there should be a form of open bargaining, John. I love Tyler Vassar's position, the BFN. The members reign supreme, and if they reign supreme, then we need to tell them what we're doing every step of the way. That's just how I feel. You want to turn it back over to the city letter carrier? Let them know what you're fucking doing. It's that fucking easy. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're going to try to get y'all. I don't give a fuck if the Postal Service knows or not. Hell, they're going to know. We're in a fucking meeting with them. So that's how I feel. Did that answer your question?
So Corey, you'd mentioned open bargaining. So that brought up something. Mike Carriff mentioned on our last episode in regards to the open bargaining, it not being done with his Article 10 charges. It surprised me to hear there's no actually anybody who's looking into the convention resolutions. I had asked him who'd mentioned during the meeting, hey, at any point, what about open bargaining? You promised to do it at the convention. He had said that they aren't given like a book of what was passed at the convention. There's no really formulaic to follow through with it other than if it's directly to, MBA thing. They get the resolution that affects them. Stuff like open bargaining, there's nobody watching over that stuff. Is that something that you think would change? I mean, it seems kind of a way for resolutions to easily get disappeared and swept under the rug, and nobody's actually following through to make sure they're being done.
That's odd, isn't it? Don't you think that's kind of weird? I mean, you got these people voting on that shit. The executive council sees all these things, right? I mean, these things are proposed to them, and one way or the other, I would think. I mean, that makes no sense to me. Again, if you're going to say that the city letter carriers reign supreme, then what in the fuck are we doing? That makes no sense to me. That you don't know what in the fuck's in it.
It drove me crazy to hear that.
Well, it makes no sense. That's completely foolish. Who votes on when it gets sent up? These when you send something to get voted on, who votes on the motherfucker?
It also seems very easy for them to just ignore ones they don't like and follow through with ones they do. Keep track of this one, ignore that one.
Yeah, and you saw the beast rise up at Boston. When you had people like Tyler Vassar going up there and standing in the face of that fucking beast and kicked ass. I fell in love with the guy, man, when you watched him up there, little bitty dude, and standing in the fucking face of that because he was adamant about his position and presented it better than they did. But again, you've got so many ass kissers up there kissing this motherfucker's ass at the top, man. But yeah, that's bizarre to me to hear that.
That's something that the CLC would look at figuring out either
how
some
could you not?
process.
Yeah, how could you not?
To think it hasn't been.
Because here's the thing: it was important to somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was important to somebody to do that. Yeah, to do that and to kind of just piss on it. But fuck, I mean, hell, this union's been pissing on us for the last 2 years with this motherfucker at the top.
Another one you mentioned, the podcast has started up. You guys, when you get in, how's the podcast going to be directed? I know the NELC has their podcast. I don't know how many people listen to it. It seems kind of dry sometimes for my liking.
It's boring as fuck because you have somebody that's never done anything. Yes. He's not been in. Look, us three here have been in the fucking battles. We've been on that workroom floor. The reason I can kind of relate to people when I'm talking to people and they kind of are attracted to that is because I'm on the workroom floor. I'm in the fucking battles. I've been in these battles, whether it's been at the informal or the formal or arbitration. I've been there. And so I can relate to y'all because I am y'all. This dude is stale as toast, and he can't relate to anybody. He wants to. It's like reading a fucking contract. Who's going to be attracted to that?
Very monotone and everything else.
Yes, yeah.
And with you guys,
sorry to interrupt you.
We can have you do it on National Scape Swearing. Everything might be interesting.
I'll do it.
But you've also learned. You guys also, and I know Cole and Mallory have really been influential with this. Is in regards to Discord, Reddit, the Facebook. Is this something that you would direct towards a national scheme? Because obviously you've hit on these points. It's all these areas that these carriers are able to collect, get answers each other. It seems something NELC should have jumped on.
The single best thing that's happened to me during all of this is Mallory and Cole. They're starting these things. Because look, here in my station, management does not do anything. I've not filed a grievance out of my station in years. They don't fuck with us. I don't know anything that's going on. These telematics, I don't know nothing about that. The only reason I know about that is because of these social media sites, people getting on there saying, hey, look at this. Everything that I talk to the letter carriers about today is based off of those social media sites. And so they are invaluable to me in whatever position I'm going to be in. they're invaluable. I'm going to keep doing it because that's how you know what's going on the workroom floor. If you don't know that, then you're going to be a Renfro. This motherfucker is disassociated. He has no idea what we're doing or who we are. And you can tell that by the memos that he signs and the things that he says about like pound of flesh. It's an inconvenience. All this bullshit that your leader's saying because he doesn't understand us. And how do you understand us? You got to talk to us. You got to see us. You got to see what's going on. And that's what Mallory and Cole have given me, that kind of that spyglass into the workroom floor across the country with these social media sites. Invaluable. So yeah, whatever position I'm going to be in, we're going to start one, a Reddit for that. The Reddit's kind of crazy. They are there's some people in there. Believe it or not, people don't like me. There's a lot of people that don't like me across the country, and they let me know on Reddit that I'm a piece of shit. And so, but that's fine. But yes, those things are invaluable. So whatever position I'm going to be in, I'm still going to do this podcast. Of course, it'll turn a little bit towards more towards education and things. I'm still going to be in people's asses that ain't doing their fucking job. I'm still going to cuss labor out. Now, James may get on me a little bit about that now, but yeah, and then I'm going to have a Zoom every Tuesday, like I said, whatever position I'm going to be in. I'm still going to have a Zoom meeting every Tuesday, just like y'all are doing. May come on y'all's every Tuesday and do one here where people can ask questions. I can tell them what's going on, who I'm talking to, things that are coming down the pike, so you don't get blindsided by shit like 1983. And so, yeah, I think that those things are invaluable to have because it gives you access to the workroom floor across the country, things that are going on. If I say that I'm going to send a team in on somebody, I've got to know. I've got to know who, because a lot of business agents are going to agree with me. A lot of them hate my guts. And so, we're going to have to get it to where carriers can have access to me and say, hey, this is what's going on so that I can arrange sending in a team in to fuck some shit up. And so, yeah, social media will be invaluable.
Chris, make sure you record where he said he may do it on ours. Just make sure you got that recorded.
Oh, I don't worry. I got everything all on tape, buddy.
Hey, if Mallory lets me do it on y'all's, I'll do it on y'all's. But Mallory may say, hey, I'm going to take care of this. Right? Mallory, you want to say something?
What are you volunteering me for right now?
He promised that he'll come on our show every Tuesday.
I mean, we'll see.
All right, you heard it here, folks. First, every Tuesday, right here, as soon as he gets elected. Perfect.
That's my social media girl right there, right there.
All right. I got a question, and it's something that it's about, and it's great, politics. Something that everyone loves talking about rationally in 2025. This is something everyone has mild opinions on, and I know your stance right now. So if you don't know, your stance, if correct me if I'm wrong, is we shouldn't get involved, right? That's kind of where, and like, I get it. I don't like the Democrat or Republican Party. I don't care for them at all. But this is a situation that I do see right now. We see that the Senate and the president both will elect the Board of Governors, the Postmaster General, and legislation. Because right now, the worst thing of all is that, like you say, Congress can control. If we're going to be privatized, there's the right to collectively bargain. I don't like I said, I don't like either parties. I think we need a workers' party, a party made up of working class. Postal unions should be putting money not into these two parties, but into a party that truly represents people like us. But how do you push back about people like me who I think says, we should get involved with politics, but not the two parties that we have right now, because we are governed by politics indirectly or.
Yeah, look, politics is not my thing.
Right.
It is just not my thing. Now, I know that it should be my thing, and it might be my thing in the future. But again, I think that here's politics to me, the public. You've got to win over the public because it doesn't matter who you get in there if you don't win over the public. Just like this poll I was talking about on Fox News, 70% saying they should privatize us. That's because they're ill-informed and not educated. You've got Trump in office now. Do you know what? We're going to have him in office for 4 years. And so are we just going to sit and bellyache and cry and whine for 4 years and please don't hurt us, please don't do it? Or are we going to get in front of this thing and say, hey, we need to get out into the public. I still think people may think I'm crazy. I think a commercial would be fantastic to get out there But yeah, if you want to get a party for working class, I think that the Democrats have moved away from that a little bit, and here recently, I think they kind of moved away from the working class. They need to come back to the working class. I think they need to get their message down, get their message right. They've lost their message a little bit, and I agree. If we can get a working class, start one of those motherfuckers. I think that the entire country should be unionized.
Okay.
I think that. I think that it's and again, this is not your granddad's union that people always say. When I was growing up, unions were terrible. That's horrible because all they do is protect lazy asses. That's kind of the narrative that are being told to people. Anytime you see on social media, they're saying, "Oh, the fucking union, man, they don't do nothing. They overcharge and shit like that, and people make too much." We don't make too much money. Look at the city letter carrier with a perfect example of why we need a better union. We need a stronger union because we are lagging way behind even the middle class. And so, yes, I think that if there's going to be a party that supports the working class, I'm all in it because, like I said, I think 100% of the country should be unionized. Every single bit. I wish Amazon. We need to attack them. We started to do that with this union, educating them on how to organize. We need to spend a lot of money to do that. I want Amazon organized. I want them unionized. I want those people to have a great living wage. They always say, well, they start out at this. Well, what are they making as far as benefits and shit? Nothing. I think Walmart should be unionized. I think that all of these places should be unionized. That's just how I feel. And yeah, I wish there was a working class party, and we put all of our money into it and get the entire country unionized. Because if that was to happen, then we would be doing a lot better as far as the city letter carrier craft and the NALC.
Absolutely. One thing too, and I love this idea you bring up too, but we need a commercial. We do.
Yes.
And this is a call, I think broadly, I don't think you or I'm not technically savvy, but YouTube exists. So if anybody's out there and they want to do a commercial, like a 30-second, put it on YouTube and make it. Like we can do it. Like we can now circumvent going on the big screen, but we can put some money on YouTube, put an ad out. Because I really do think a good 30-second ad could really get it through. You're right. This is what we need leadership for. Now, obviously, our national union has millions of dollars to do something like this.
Yes.
But instead, we're not spending it on them. I mean, that's a great point. But yes, a commercial. As a CLC thinking of this, I'm pretty sure. But are you guys thinking if you guys get elected, you do something like that?
I would do it.
Yeah,
I would do that. I would do that in the first fucking week. I would do that. Look, the public needs to be educated as far as who we are, not just as a union, but as a craft. The city letter carrier. Who are we? And obviously the tax, because everybody's like, they lost $10 billion of my tax money. No, we didn't. We don't receive tax money. Go over the Constitution, go over the Postal Reorganization Act from 1970, go over those things that we're a service, we're a free service by the people, for the people. They need to understand these things. You could have people sitting around a table. The Postal Service probably would raise hell if you're in uniform, but they can be around a table and they can say, hey, I'm a city letter carrier and this is what we do. And just talking to each other, did you know that we receive no tax money? Did you know that, your mother and father that are disabled and are elderly and you can't check on them every day? Did you know that we will talk to them every single day? We will go by there and we'll meet with them. We'll talk to them. They want to talk to us about their grandkids and their great grandkids. And we're going to talk to them about that. These people, when you bring your babies home, are going to be, shit like that. Make us fucking human. Because anybody, the poll on Fox News was talking about, would you agree to privatize the Postal Service, even if it meant losing mass amounts of jobs? And 72% said yes. We're just an organization to those people. We're not a face. We're not a human being. So a commercial would be a fantastic idea to humanize us, to let people, make them aware of who we are, what we do every day, show what we do every day, and we receive no tax money. I think that's huge. And to educate the people, to me, you do that first. You can have rallies. We'll have days of action again where we have phone calls and shit like that. But the public, that's who you need, because when you say, hey, look, we're talking about dismantling the post office, we're talking about privatizing the post office, what does that mean? What does privatize? It sounds good to people, privatize the post office. What does that mean? What are the consequences of that? That could be in the commercial. You know, if they privatize the postal service, that anybody can touch your mail for $5 an hour. Do you want somebody doing that? Anybody can handle your mail, checks that you have, whatever. You know, I think that we could educate the public. You could have 2 commercials. Educate the public, but we don't do shit. We don't do fucking shit right at the top, man. We will fuck up a ham sandwich at the top. These motherfuckers they don't have a fucking clue what to do, how to fight, nothing.
No.
And it's the city letter carrier right now is in a terrible way. I mean, a terrible fucking way. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, because this motherfucker, man, he's running us into fucking ground. Him and that second in command, that clown he's got.
I have a question. Speaking of elections, they have consequences and all that, right?
Yeah.
So when back in the day, there was a little ragtag group of us. We created Labor for Bernie Sanders, Labor for Bernie, when he first came out. And we did this because we were trying to prevent the top-down union endorsements of Hillary Clinton, because we figured this is going to divide the membership. People were tired of the Bushes and the Clintons. And Bernie Sanders, with his first run, he came out, and we went from union to union. We got the IBEW, we got the nurses, CWA. For 2 examples I'll bring forward is the CWA and the NNU, the nurses union. They revamped the whole endorsement process, where they actually send out a ballot to their membership, to all members, with a questionnaire and education. And I think it's the CWA that does it, where it's, should we endorse Republican, Democrat, Independent, or the 4th, should we stand aside? If the NALC mailed you a ballot like that, should we have endorsed Republican, Democrat, or stand aside? How would you have voted? And also, do you think that's a good approach that we should go to? Because the convention was a very top-down approach of endorsing the Democratic Party candidate, and it divided our membership. So going forward, do you think we should change our approach?
Yeah, that's different. I've not heard of that. I like that idea. I would stand aside. I personally believe we should, and I get the arguments on both sides. I do, but you know, both parties donate to our union dues, Democrat and Republican, Independent. They donate union dues to us. They give us those dues. I just am against pissing on one side or the other. I don't think that, you know, and I see Fain, he's pretty adamant. He gets in Trump's ass pretty good and cusses him out. I saw our the union leaders here, you know, dogging Trump and that's fine if that's what they want to do. But you do realize that that person may win. They may win, and you might have somebody that's vindictive that wins, and they're going to say, why in the fuck would I do anything for them? Look at what they've been saying about me for the last year. Because you have some that are petty, and they will hold things against you. If it comes time to, well, should I save them or should I do away with them? Well, fuck them, because they've been talking shit about me. I say whoever's in office, we need to get in there and try to get a seat at the table with them and see if they can help us in some way, some form or fashion. But that's just my opinion. It's not a very popular opinion, but that's just how I am. I think that we should say, whoever's in that office, we want to work with you, and we want you to help us. We want you to help us get us better. And so.
Then on a side note, I'm almost done. So 2028, we'll have a Labor Party. The candidate will be Sarah Nelson, Corey Walton, Sean Fain, and Sean O'Brien. All 3 bald white guys, and Sarah Nelson,
I like that.
Demanding a general strike. 2028, you got my vote.
Thank you.
So, Corey, I was looking at the Nolan arbitration decision, and it
Yeah.
mentions most newly hired CCA letter carriers start as CCAs based on data collected by Lightcast Analytics in 2023. Current CCA pay lagged far behind them that offered newly hired FedEx minus 5.7% and Amazon minus 13.9% delivery workers. Our CCAs are making 13% less than what they are at Amazon. It is sickening and sad. I cannot believe that when I read that.
Yeah. And I talk with James Henry often. We talk every day. His passion is obviously the city letter carrier, but CCAs. Such an injustice what we've done to them. The fact that we still have a CCA position is an injustice to the CCA. And it's one of the biggest things that pissed me off about this motherfucker at the top when he was talking about a substantial raise and he gave them less than $1. He has pissed on the CCA ever since. It's like he's mad at them for something. You know, fuck you and Rolando are the ones who did it. You're the ones who got them. And they are subhuman to this administration. That's who you need to fight for most. You know, all this other stuff, you know, table two and all that stuff, obviously, but you've got to go in there and have a strong persuader, like Robert Cray sang. A strong y'all know who Robert Cray is?
Mm-hmm.
You know, strong persuader. Yeah. Anyway, you got to have a strong persuader in there to either do away with the CCA craft like Renfro said he was going to do, or figure out a way to pay those people. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to every city letter carrier to have CCAs coming in making poverty wages. It's an embarrassment to us because when I was hired in, this was the shit. The Postal Service, you were rich when you were hired in here. People, I remember when I hired in, they had a party for me because they're like, damn, you made it in the post office. My family threw a party because you're set for life. Now look at us. We're living in the fucking street.
It's a shame. I was the same way. I grew up in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, in the city.
Yeah.
Most of us, you either came Boston cop, you worked for the MBTA, and if you got a letter carrier, and that was it.
Yeah.
Those were the three jobs everybody wanted.
Yeah.
And then I see 30-year-olds in my office. They can't afford apartments anymore. Yep. Rent for almost $3,000 a month around here. I know they've tried to pass T-Colas or something because some of these areas you cannot afford to be a letter carrier and work in. It's just gone insane. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is the education platform. You know, in my opinion, the ALC has an issue with they have training, they have classes, but a lot of people can't afford to go to them, to these massive training. And how many carriers are you losing? Chris just paid out of his own pocket to attend training, and that's a table two carrier. That's a lot of money that affects him. Is there any thoughts of doing something more like an NELC university where you can get these guys for a few months and teach them these classes virtually or in some way, shape, or form so you're not losing these intelligent, great carriers who can't afford or in the position to be able to do that?
Yes. Great question. I'm glad you asked. That's going to be under my purview, education. And that's James Henry's big thing is education. My big thing is education. But here's how you're going to do it. Here's how we're going to do it. This will be done. Okay. You can write these things down. We will have mentorships because, like you said, a lot of these small branches can't afford to send people to regional training. And that's just once a year. A lot of these branches can't have meetings. They don't have enough for a quorum. And they can't, some stewards can't make it to training because it's too far. You hear people saying, well, my branch is an hour and a half away. And I get off at 6, the meeting's at 7. I just can't make it. So what do you do? That's the reason this podcast was started, is for that specific reason, for those people who couldn't get education because our files were coming up to arbitration. They were ill prepared, not the carrier's fault, not the steward's fault, but they don't have access to education. So what do you do to get education to those smaller stations? We'll have mentorships. we will designate people for those smaller stations. Now we've got to get the word out to them that we need to know who you are, and that'll be a thing that we get through the business agents. Even if the business agents don't like me, we're going to get through the business agents. Give me your branch numbers, members out there. We'll have portals that they can go to. Any shopster can go to. They'll have portals they can get into where they can be educated like that. That will happen. I'll have the best IT department in the country, and that will be second to none. We'll have Zooms. That will happen. We'll have Zoom meetings about education where people can ask real-time questions about we've got these issues, and I'll have people on those Zooms that can answer those questions. We'll have in-person, I'm going to call them travelers, that will go from those one station to another. You got RGAs right now, but we misuse those. We don't use those RGAs properly, regional grievance assistants. And so we will have travelers. That would be another position. You talk about the dogs of war. Travelers will be another position where you're going to spend some of your time. It's going to be a big dedication. And you're going to go to these small stations. You're going to sit down with them after work, and you're going to show them how to prepare a grievance, how to file a grievance. Those things will be in person, and that will fall under my purview as well. We'll have WebExes, obviously, so people can, if they can't get off until late at night, we'll have WebExes for them. And the CLC will start white papers. I don't know if y'all know what those are, but those are very helpful. Dealing with any type of thing, you can deal with it from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of history on that stuff. And so, yeah, those things will be done. On my life, those will be done. When I say that we're going to reach every city letter carrier in this country, that's a promise from me to everybody on here and everybody in the country that we will reach every single city letter carrier in this country, and they will be educated. That's on my life. Next, who's got something else for me?
I got one. So, question for you, Corey. So one thing now you guys are calling for, which I like this demand of asking President Renfro after this embarrassment, after this whole process, he needs to step down.
Yes.
I'm on board.
Yep.
Now, I think we both know a narcissist is never going to admit to making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
A narcissist is never going to say there was anything wrong with this TA. I have a feeling after 60 days, he's not going to go anywhere. I don't think so. There's no shame to out of embarrassment, I would have quit and I would have apologized and I would have crawled under a rock and never come out. But on the other hand, Mike Cariff has the Article 10 charges. He's trying to get every MBA to substantiate these. Do you feel I think that's more of a plan, like to actually have teeth, because this man has no shame. We know he doesn't care. He doesn't care how bad this looked. He literally took the same goddamn contract and put it in this one. But how do you feel about getting on the Article 10? Because I think that is actually, if anything, we can probably get him to at least not negotiate the next contract. Because he's going to be, that's starting in 11 months, right? We're going in 11 months. He's starting the next one. I'm scared shitless like the rest of us, but what do you think about Article, going through and trying to get, I want to start petitions in our offices to start pressuring our NBAs to do their job and get rid of this man?
Yeah. Here's the problem with the NBAs. They're fence riders right now. You've got a lot of them saying that, hey, I'm going to run independent. I'm not going to run with Renfro because he's done. I mean, Renfro's losing. I mean, he's there's no coming back for him, regardless of what he does from here until then. He is done. You got a lot of these business agents that are sitting on the fence because they're waiting to see what happens. They're going to be non-committal. A lot of them don't follow Cariff's lead, and that's just the cold, hard truth. They don't follow Cariff's lead. And so that will be hard for him to get that to pass. You can also bring up charges, and I believe, and I will probably bring up a charge myself against him if he does not step down and resign after 60 days. Probably have two, maybe. We'll think about it. The first one is obviously a dereliction of his duty. I think that would be very easily proven. Of course, the executive council will probably kiss this motherfucker's ass on that. But also, you had this mediation when we talk about the mediation and the arbitrator awarded that, any type of settlement based off of or done out of a mediation still must be ratified. You cannot force that through, even though you signed this joint memo that he signed, this one right here that he signed at the back of it, saying prior to convening a formal hearing, arbitrator will conduct mediation with the parties on the outstanding bargaining issues. The parties shall cooperate with arbitrator during the mediation process and shall meet and negotiate. Well, any resolution based off of mediation must be ratified. And so we'll check into that, probably file an Article 10 charge on his ass for that. Dereliction of duty. And charges, I'm not one to file charges, but I'll probably fire his ass up with 2 of them because he's a worthless piece of shit. And but yeah, the charges that Karis filed, I think, are fantastic. We need to keep this motherfucker as far away from negotiating anything. I don't want this motherfucker negotiating a fucking Big Mac sandwich from me. I don't want him negotiating the first fucking thing. Stay away from negotiation. And so, yeah, if those charges go through, unfortunately, the executive council is not going to vote that it's substantial, and it'll go before the members in LA. So,
all right.
But I'm all for those charges. I think you keep this motherfucker away. We saw what a disaster this son of a bitch was in the last one. He fucked us over like we have never been fucked over before in our lives. So.
Yeah, because our MBAs, at least in Region 4, they're all up for re-election too. So, I think if there's a way for us to know how they voted, because people that should be propagated. Everyone should know. Like when I went to Boston, I saw my MBA, Region 14. He was speaking out against open bargaining. NBA after NBA got up there and spoke out against open bargaining. Like, there needs to be a record of all the shit they did to us. Because if you do not vote like Region 10, Article 10, you need to go. I'm sorry. This is your chance. You messed up last year. This is it for me, and I'm with you. Like, this is great. And I want him so busy that he's just going to resign. Like, he's not going to resign. You're right. But, I want his ass not remove him. He's not touching 11 months. He's not touching that fucking thing. Yeah. I swear to God. No.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I agree. He's such a narcissist. And that's what, when people are saying, well, in our region, they stood and clapped for him because it's the position. Now, this motherfucker thinks you're clapping for him because he did such a great job. And he will not see that he's done a shitty job. He'll be like, resign for what? Who's calling? Court. Well, what the fuck is he? He's a city letter carrier calling for my resignation. Why would I do that? But yeah, he's something.
Yep.
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
All right. I think we're pretty comfortable moving into the live audience. Questions and answers. Currently, there's about 170 people in the Zoom chat. For the folks that have just jumped on, please subscribe to our podcast. It's Next Generation Carriers. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also on YouTube, and also on Facebook. Before we transition over to the live studio audience, which I welcome everyone every time to join us on Zoom. No other podcast or anything like this happens, so this is pretty unique. Before we transition over, I kind of have to make an apology, I believe. I made a statement a couple of weeks ago saying Chris's and James' region was trying to control the narrative of the March 23rd rallies. And the business agents were telling carriers not to talk about the contract or strike talk, and they were trying to filter out speakers. So I guess I was under the wrong impression. So I am sorry about that. But then again, I do have a question on why I went to NALC.org and the Boston, Massachusetts rally did not have Branch 34 listed as the main organizer. I assume that was internal politics while we're fighting like hell to preserve our job. National is playing politics.
Well, to be fair on that, from my understanding it was because my branch was the first one to contact them over the T-shirts and banners and stuff. So it was given credit to my branch. Just to be in full understanding of what my understanding of how it went down.
So yeah, if I hurt anyone's feelings up on the national level on System Tides, I'm sorry.
Yep.
To some degree. All right. So first up, I'm gonna pick on Vicky Sawicki, and then we'll go down to Melissa, and then Michelle DaCosta. Let me pull up Vicky. Let me ask to unmute. Vicky, you're all set to go. And don't hold back if she's there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. First, I want to say I'm Vicky Sawicki, retired letter carrier from San Francisco. I delivered for 34 and a half years, and I'm a proud member of NELC for 51 years. I am completely filled with trepidation right now. Why? Because Corey, dude, I love you, man. You know I love you. I've written a number of emails to you. I've shared your podcasts. What I fucking love about you is your fucking fight. Your fucking fight. I'm gonna talk like you, and it's the truth. and the other thing I love about you is you want the truth. You've always said when you went to arbitration, you wanted to know the truth. And the reason why I'm like filled with trepidation on steroids is because I'm going to share my truth, which is a little bit different than yours. And it's scary because I love you so much.
That's fine.
Okay. This is the thing. I'm from San Francisco. We had a president that tried to eliminate or destroy two stewards who were the fiercest stewards ever in San Francisco. One was a female Latina, and he stripped her of her powers. And I told her she had to go to the union meeting and she had to ask her siblings to have her duties restored. She did that. She won 88%, agreed to reinstate her as a steward. The next month, the president of our branch challenged the decision of the members, of his own members. And I had to appeal to the national. I had 14 days, which I've never done before. I'm not as smart as you, but I worked day and night to get that done, and she won, and she was reinstated. The other person that he tried to strip of his powers was a Marine, 40 years a steward, fighter. But he also had a big heart. He loves people like you love people. You always say you love your carriers. He has the fight like you and the love like you. He called me at 8:20 in the morning. He said, Vicky, I need your help. No, he didn't say that. He said, Vicky, the union wants me down at the union office at 10 o'clock. Pause. I was in bed. I said, I'll be there. I went. Took me an hour and a half to get to San Francisco. I got there exactly at 10 o'clock. We walked in, and there were two national officers there, two of your buddies. One of them kept saying, Vicky, you have to leave the room. You have to leave the room. I said, why? What are you afraid of? I'm retired. I'm disabled. I've got gray hair. I've got a cane. What are you afraid of? You have to leave the room. Well, I'm here to represent my Marine who saw blood and guts in Beirut. This is a Marine. I'm so proud that he asked me. I felt like if I died, I'd go to heaven because I did my job. Do you get me? I'm serious. This was the highest honor. So we went on. He kept asking me to leave. At the last time he asked me to leave, I looked out the window. I looked up at my Marine. I looked up at one of your buddies. And I said, the only way I'm going to leave this room is if you carry me out. I'm kind of a big woman. So there was this pregnant pause. He sat down and we carried on, and my Marine got what he needed. My concern is some of these people, the two people that were in the room were from the CLC, and they're not my friends. They're not my friends. I'm sorry. And I feel like unless you can convince me that these people in the CLC have fought from day one after the CCAs were established, that they fought, that they argued, you can show me emails. I can't vote for them. I can't. I spoke at the 2018, this is the last thing, 2018 convention. I stood up. I went to the mic because it was area COLA wage adjustment. And living in San Francisco is extremely expensive. So I go up to the first mic and I go, excuse me, are you pro or con? I'm calling the question. I said, okay. He said, you have to go find another mic. So I did. So I found another mic. Well, of course, they called the question. Rolando called on him. And then the question was called. They voted to call the question. They voted down the resolution for area code wage, adjustment. So I'm standing at the mic. And my business agent comes up to me. He says, Vicky, it's over. Like really hostile, thuggy like. I said, I know. I have something to share. And I said, I have 5 CCAs from San Francisco, 4 of which live in their cars, one of them a woman. And the 5th one has pitched a tent. This is in 2018, outside the station. This is not okay. So I need proof. I need really concrete proof that these people have been fighting from day one when we had CCAs. Because you talk about suffering. Corey, I'm looking at you. Can't see me, but I'm looking at you. I know you care about the carriers that are suffering. They're suffering fucking pain. Like Eugene Gates, he's no longer. So, anyways, I just have a different opinion than you. I hope because you always have responded to my emails. I hope you continue, but I just had to express my point of view. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, sister, I love you. You email me whenever you want to. I don't know what happened, just based off what you said. It sounds like it's obviously left a bitter taste in your mouth. I will vouch for every member of the CLC as far as their passion for the city letter carrier. I don't know the situation. I would have to obviously know the other side. I'm not saying that you're not telling me everything, but again, I would vouch for every single member of the CLC. I've been with them. I've talked with them regularly. Their passion for the city letter carrier. I know that there are some that say that I'm that same way, that they said that when it came time to fight, I didn't fight for them, one reason or another. And I assure you, from day one, since 2006, when I became a shop steward, I have fought my ass off for every city letter carrier that I've ever protected, defended, grieved for, and still there are some that don't like me. So I'm sorry that that's happened to you, my sister. I love you, and yeah, and plus I don't know any names, so I don't know what to say. I apologize.
Cool. Yeah, that was kind of emotional. Melissa, if you want to come on, please unmute yourself. Oops, do that again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Can you hear me? Thanks. Hey, thanks you guys, Next Generation Carriers, for having this tonight. Thank you, Corey, for spending your time with us. And thanks to everybody in chat that's been keeping me entertained too. I'm a carrier in the suburbs outside Chicago, branch 825. I've been a very vocal critic of our current national president and everything he's been doing in the contract negotiations, everything he hasn't been doing. Monday, I was extremely, extremely disappointed and still am. I know everybody is that has, half a brain. And it's too bad because Sunday, I stood shoulder to shoulder with at least 1,000 of my union siblings in downtown Chicago. And we raised our voices up and said, we aren't going to sit silently while people try to dismantle the Postal Service and destroy our unions and destroy our jobs. Saw it all across the country. It's a beautiful thing to see letter carriers all across this country stand up and fight. And I hope, I see a lot of people online now saying they're getting out of the union because they're mad about the contract and that kind of thing. And I hope people don't do that. I hope people stay in the fight, keep fighting to make our union be the way it should be, to be a democratic organization. And we've got a lot of fights in front of us. And we're going to have to keep fighting Renfro, but we're going to have to look at the big picture too. Right now, they're introducing legislation that would make it so that the Postal Service cannot deduct dues from our paycheck. They want to change the law so that paid grievance handling time would have to be paid by the union. We would have to reimburse the Postal Service when our stewards are on union time. This would bankrupt our union. It would be devastating. It would mean management can violate as much as they want, and we have to pay for everything to try to stop it. It just wouldn't work out. So I guess I'm not so much of a question, but I guess I do want to hear y'all's thoughts about the fact that we need to keep facing outward as well as dealing with Renfro. We need to keep facing outward and fight this battle in the public court of opinion and in the streets. And I hope we can all, continue to encourage our fellow members to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I remember when Charlie Miller was on my episode, he's talked exactly to that point. He said, look, we got two fronts. We've got to protect the Postal Service at all costs. If we have no Postal Service, who cares about our union? It's like, what good is it to have a union with nobody working? I mean, and so he said there's two fronts. You got to attack those that are attacking us. And also, we'll go after and get rid of Renfro. And James Henry was the same way when he came on. He said, we got two fronts. And we can do both things at the same time. We can go after those that are going after us. I think that, like you said, we have a day of action. We've had the rallies. You're talking about the commercials that you got to educate the public on what we are. And, but also you've got Renfro and those people. We also donate to our political action fund for that reason, to get out there and make sure those people have our best interest at heart. And, I don't know if we're winning that battle. I think when Renfro was at our regional training, he said that we are. But I think a majority of Congress, I would say more than 50%, like the Postal Service. They approve of the city letter carrier because they understand that's 600,000 people total. And so, yeah, there's two fronts, and we need to attack both just as vigorously. Those that are trying to come after us in whatever capacity, and Renfro. You got to get that motherfucker out. I mean, he's killing the city letter carrier craft. So, yeah, I think that getting out of the union is the worst possible thing we can do right now. Matter of fact, we should have 100% in the union. Everybody should be donating $5 a paycheck to the political action fund. That way we can meet those people and say, hey, we need you to protect us. But you're right, Melissa. We need to attack both of those things just as vigorously.
Cool. Thank you. The third person, Michelle DaCosta. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle DaCosta. I'm a member at Branch 36. I've been a letter carrier for 10 years now. I'm also a shop steward at my station, as well as a formal A-rep or hearing officer, whichever one you would prefer to say. I'm also Corey Walton's biggest fan. Good evening, Corey. I have a question. My question is, what will the CLC do to help clean up these corrupt branches? I'm currently blacklisted from my branch for running against the current leadership. And we've gone as far as appeals, even to the national convention this past year in Boston. And of course, to no avail because of all the things that were going on with the CLC and with everything that's going on in general in the NLC. But I would like to know, because I'm going to vote for the CLC, I want to know what you guys are going to do to help clean up these corrupt branches, because we need to drain the swamps from top to bottom.
I like that. Welcome to the club. I've been blackballed too. And so one of my biggest proteges, Jason Leith, JB, he's been blackballed from any kind of training. The region has blackballed him. It seems that anybody that's a potential threat will be blackballed with this current administration. That goes all the way down to the presidents. More people contact me that have been blackballed than y'all could even imagine. And so, yes, I think that would be a priority for James Henry to make sure. Now, first off, if you got a corrupt branch and your branch president is corrupt, we got to figure a way to vote those motherfuckers out. I mean, we got to vote those out. A lot of them will be voted out in this next election. And we've got to organize, and maybe that's something that James Henry can get involved in. I'm not going to speak for James. I know he's on here. So, but we've got to organize those branches where there's corruption, and there is a lot of them, sister. Trust me, there is a lot of corrupt branches in this country, and they are there for one reason and one reason only, so they don't have to work. And so they're not going to protect us. They're not going to do what's right by us. They're going to blackball people that are amazing like yourself. We lose more shop stewards, good shop stewards, because of corrupt branches than anything else. And so that's definitely something that James and I will sit down and talk about. How in the fuck can we get into these corrupt branches and fix what you're just talking about? So yeah, that's definitely will be a priority of James and I, because and that's something we talk about all the time, is just how many good shop stewards we lose because of corruption in this country. I'm talking about good shop stewards that fight like hell for the city letter carrier, and I tell some of their stories on my podcast. And yeah, I promise you, sister, that's something that we will put our sights on, is getting these corrupt branches and talking to these presidents and saying, why in the fuck are they not doing their job?
All right, Corey, got a few questions. So far, we got 14 people on Stack. So
I'm
it's up to
ready.
you how far you want to go with this, but we got a lot of people.
Keep on going.
All right, here we go. So I got Paul Bollinger, Mike, and then Ernest, and then other people. Then I know James has got a few people he knows. Then I have Badmouth, Matt Copson, Rudy from Branch 869, Aaron Jones, and Derek Asher. So I do have you. We'll get to you as long as Corey has steam in him. So up next is Paul. If you can go unmute yourself, and just for everybody, just your name and your branch number before you speak.
No tough questions, Paul.
Paul here? Okay, I'm there.
Yep.
I wasn't
There you go.
allowed for
Yep.
a minute. After all this time, they can't get my name right. It's Paul Belanger.
As someone has a complicated last name, my
Say
apologies.
Chris's last name, Paul.
Say
Chris's
Chris's
last name. Thank you, man. Thank you. So Paul Belanger, Branch 44, New Hampshire. No tough questions, Corbett. I wish I could reach out and give you a hug, brother. It's been a long time.
I miss you, my man. I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, I miss you too. So I got a question for you. So we obviously have a piece of shit tyrant right now in a position of leadership. But I think one of the big problems is we don't have a series of checks and balances to stop what happened from happening.
Yes.
I mean, the Constitution, Article 9, says that the president has the sole determination or referral of all matters to arbitration. So even if we get an impasse or a voted down tentative agreement, he can decide what goes to arbitration, and he gets to decide whether an agreement goes out to the membership for ratification without any consultation with the executive council. I mean, do you agree that we need to maybe change some of that language? I've got a possible resolution to, I mean, he might make the argument that, well, the Postal Service brought up the failed tentative agreement, and that's why that language is in there. But we could always sign a memorandum saying we're not going to allow that in there. If we send a membership or a ratification vote out, that we can accompany that with a memorandum saying that we will not use a failed tentative agreement at the negotiating table. We could do that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Paul. Did we ever worry about this before Renfro?
No, we didn't. But it's probably time to start thinking about the future.
Yeah.
Whoever's in there.
Yeah, he's made us think about a lot of shit, right, Paul? He's made us reconsider the way we've been doing things for the last however many years, 40 years or more, because of his narcissism and his corruptness. He has made us think of things we've never thought about. Nobody ever thought about the total power of the president. Nobody's ever concerned themselves with it until this cat comes along. Now everybody's talking about we need to make constitutional amendments, stripping the president of powers, that they have. I agree 100% that this motherfucker has fucked up so much, Paul, that that's why we're here right now. Is we're talking about making constitutional amendments because of this clown. It's never happened before.
No,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
It could happen again too. And I'm telling you right now, we're throwing tire strips out trying to stop him from running us into a brick wall. But he could give us a pay cut on his way to a freaking postmaster general job if we can't stop him.
Oh, hey, there's no doubt this motherfucker is going to be in management when we kick his ass out. He's setting himself up for that. There's no way you can be that fucking incompetent as a union president. I'm talking about the union president, not just branch president. His incompetence wouldn't be tolerated at the branch president level. And but yeah, I agree. You know, if people are going to they can obviously make those recommendations to make something to do with the Constitution. But I would never thought that we'd be sitting here questioning the powers of the president because we've had one in there that is so corrupt, and he has let that power go straight to his fucking head. And I agree with you, Paul, 100%. We got to do something. He could, he's going to start the next negotiations, and he could end that motherfucker in a month with the same bullshit he just did to us. So
I agree.
Is Paul? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm still here. I just got nothing to say to that. I mean, I don't know if we have the tools to stop him right now, aside from just trying to bring him up on more Article 10 charges. But
yeah, I mean, we're gonna have about 50 Article 10 charges on him, and the thing is, the executive council's in this motherfucker's pocket, and so they'll shoot all these down, and it'll happen just like Boston. But by then, he's going to be into the negotiations.
What do you feel about a vote of no confidence? I know it carries no weight, but it might at least let him know if we can get 30,000 people to say, listen, you suck. You got to step down. Maybe is that something we could do?
Yeah, I know that Mallory is getting one of those petitions for us. I know that branches are already making motions to do no confidence and asking him to resign. I know a lot of branches are doing that. Shit has hit the fan with the city letter carrier. I'm glad. I hate that it's happened, but I love the response of the city letter carrier when your brothers and sisters stand up and say, this shit got to fucking stop. But yeah, I think that the more petitions, the better. A no confidence vote. You talk about dereliction of duty, having them a no confidence vote, and have however many thousands of city letter carriers saying, "Hey, do what's best. If you love the city letter carrier, do what's best and resign." And go do something else.
So how do you feel, Corey, about maybe at the COP? Are you going to be at the COP by any chance? You get the invite?
Yeah, I won't be able to go in there. My president and JB go. But I'll be there. You talking about the one in LA?
Yeah.
I'll be there, but I won't be able to go in because I'm not part of that.
Okay.
I'll stand outside and cheer for y'all.
Well, we'll raise some hell for you inside then.
Yeah, I'll be listening. I have a cup up to the door with my listening to y'all.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, Paul. Love you, man. Good to see you, buddy.
Man. See ya.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for that. Up next, we have Mike and then Ernest Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Mike Pinto from Branch 25 in Massachusetts, 20-year carrier. Big fan, Corey.
Thank you.
Wanted to know, do you have any plans to start selling motherfuckers gonna stop motherfucking shirts? Because it's like one of my all-time favorite quotes, and I think there's an untapped market out there for it.
I like that saying. It's one of my favorite ones, but it's kind of caught on. I do believe, I don't know, is Mallory on here? Is Mallory still on?
Yeah, I am.
Do we sell those? Is that in our store? The motherfucking? We're going motherfucking. Do you know that?
I feel like they used to be. I can check. Pause, please hold.
All right.
But I will get with Thomas if not.
All right. See, we got Cole and Mallory, the two all-stars. Yeah, I agree with you. Motherfuckers going motherfuckering, and that's what it's all about when it's all said and done. When you ride up, and that's what the city letter carrier's got to understand, is that's the point we're at right now, is when we ride up, telling you to get in, motherfuckers going motherfuckering, and that's what we're going to do. We'll did that on the TA. The city letter carriers went motherfuckering in the TA and shot that motherfucker to death. And then we'll do it again in 2026 when we vote this motherfucker out. That's the motherfuckers going motherfucking right there.
Yeah. We don't have that shirt. We have a couple similar, but not that one. I still want Corey 316 on a shirt too, because Corey Walton said so.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
And Corey, do you believe that the arbitration award was predetermined before the parties got together? Because it seems like it was a dog and pony show for the rank and file, that they had already decided what it was beforehand. Because how did they come up with that in 2 days? That's fucking bullshit.
100%. 100% you're right. When you look at this memo they signed, they were setting us up, if y'all can see it. Y'all see that? That's the memo they signed. That is setting us up for what happened. They knew when they signed that what was going to happen. That's my opinion. Because the language in there talks about the mediation. And then it says the arbitrator will use a final and binding award based on the parties' presentations. The presentations, not the arguments, the presentations. So they knew that they were going to go in there and hand the presentation. Those, when you look at the decision, it talks about the presentations. On the parties' presentations during mediation or in the interest arbitration proceeding. So they opened the door for him to give an award based solely off of mediation. And that's exactly what happened, brother. You got a stipulated award. They signed this memo stating that he can do that. And they go in there mediation for 2 days. And we get a decision in 3, a 20-page decision written up. There's no doubt it was a stipulated award, my man.
And we get those fake ass pictures, them smiling towards the camera like they're actually doing something.
Yeah, they're laughing because they know they're fixing to fuck us over. And all 3 of them, I don't like Nolan anyway. I think he's giving us some shit decisions. And Renfro's saying, we both respect the hell out of him. I don't care for him. And, you got his counterpart there over there fucking laughing, knowing that they're fixing to make all this bank at our expense. And some bitch got his way. The TA, we voted that some bitch down, and his pride was hurt. Like I said, that motherfucker's ass was bent over that, and he was going to make sure that we got that TA. And that's exactly what happened, baby. And there's no doubt in my mind.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thank
Absolutely,
you for that,
brother. Thank you. I love you, man.
All right. Up next, we have Ernest, Greg, and then Badmouth.
All right, brother. I was trying to figure out how to mute this damn thing. All right. So, Corey, how are you, brother? It's awesome
my man,
to see
how
you
are
again,
you,
man.
sir? It's good seeing you again.
Just fucking peachy, brother. I can't complain. We got
I'm gonna have to get you back on. I'm gonna have to get you back on the show.
Oh, I would love to, man. I would love to. And I never really gotten a formal chance to thank you. So I guess this would be my opportunity, man. I guess because I've met a couple of you guys now. I've never talked to you formally, but there's a bunch of people that are behind the scenes that most of the people that are probably on this call have never met. I guess I can start with the Formula and Beyond class that I went to. Matter of fact, me and Chris were there together. One of the hosts of the podcast, and James grabbed a hold of me, and the rest of my branch actually. And he sat with us for about an hour and a half. And I remember my brother Ron Speakman called me. He was like, "How was it?" And very, very. I think anybody who knows me would agree that very seldomly am I at a loss for words, and I'm not joking. When somebody asks me, describe that interaction, and I tell them I really can't explain it to you. You'd have to meet the guy for yourself. And I think that James does an excellent job of remaining pretty professional on most of the appearances that he does. And for those of you who have heard those interviews, they're very in depth. In the case of Ron Speakman, he does an excellent job of giving people 3.5 hours to kind of explain themselves. He's slowly turning into almost like the Joe Rogan of the Letter Carrier Podcast Network. And so James, thank you so much, brother. You didn't have to do that. And to grab those 4 dumb kids that we are from South Texas and to spend the time that you did with us, it was amazing to see. If you were there, it turned into almost like people just started huddling around us, just to kind of hear him for the first time. And I didn't know James, and I had my skepticisms about him for obvious reasons. If you have a problem with an administration and the current VP is there, you have to assume that, well, nothing's going to change. If he's the current VP, he's already in power. And then I hear him on a couple of podcasts, and I grew up in a really, really impoverished neighborhood down here in South Texas. I have a high school diploma from the lowest performing high school within the poorest school district in the entire state of Texas. That is the limit of my education. So I am not educated by any means. So I normally cuss like you do, which is why most of us love your podcast. It's not that we love cussing, which is what Brian got wrong with this whole campaign. We just love authenticity. And so when we hear you swear, we just know it's you. But yeah, so to hear James and to hear him, come up to me, and I don't want to give too much of his personality away. But he says, "Hey, Ernest, we're gonna chop it up after this, man." When I hear "chop it up," I'm like, "Yeah, he's a brother from Compton, man. All right, yeah, sure. I would love to. I would love to hang out with you after this, man." And just to actually hear him be himself, was unbelievably humbling to me. So I want to thank him. I want to thank you, Corey. You started an unbelievable movement, man, that, in my opinion, and me and Tyler Vassar talk about this all the time, dude, that if you were to start reinvigorating the labor movement in the United States, if you can center it around the letter carrier who happens to be in every community across the country, you have a legitimate opportunity to start a legitimate labor movement en masse in every corner of the country. And so for that to kind of stem from you just trying to do your due diligence to reach out to those, again, man, I've got a lot of Republican friends. That was my biggest problem with the Fight Like Hell shit. You're going to turn this into a you should have just voted for Democrats rally. I'm not with that shit. Not that I like Trump, fuck him. But a lot of my friends voted for him because I was not a Kamala Harris fan either, for obvious reasons. And I don't want to get too far into politics, but for you to reach out to those rural communities who continue to lose their way of life and to continue to lose, the opportunity for them to just live in peace out there. I'm a city boy, but when you go out there, you understand why people love it. And for you to start something like that on your own time, to reach out to those people that everyone seems to have forgotten over and over again, thank you for that. And I guess us having to, I think Ron was talking about it, or he sent the question up earlier that we wanted to start pushing up resolutions, at least in the state of Texas. And I'm so happy to see, Build a Fighting NALC is very prevalent here, at least with the Southeastern branch. I've got brother from Puerto Rico, Bad Miles from Dallas, Fort Worth. I've got Caesar from Arlington. I've got Caesar from Uvalde. I'm from San Antonio. Ken Grigsby from Corpus Christi. My brother Rudy from Puerto Rico. So there's a bunch of us on here. Murphy's from Florida, obviously. So we're going to be pushing these resolutions to kind of limit the powers of the president. And it sucks that we have to do that, but now we find ourselves in a position where we have to protect ourselves in case we get another tyrannical president. And again, I don't know if this question was asked earlier. I've had to come back and forth, but would you and James, if James was to hop in on this, would you guys be on board with limiting the power of someone like a president should you be in power? Because there's never the guarantee that we're going to have a president who's actually for the people. And for those who've forgotten, when Vincent and Brano and them started their movement in 1970, it took them 8 years before they finally actually took over the union after the strike. So it was a long fight for those brothers. I don't know how the hell they kept up for 8 years. I'm exhausted after fucking 2. So talk about balls of steel for those brothers in New York. But yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my ultimate question, man. Is that something that you would be on board with us, or do you feel like we should keep it as is because we're going to get good people in power now?
Yeah. Is James on?
He's there. I can see him.
Well, James, can you unmute James? Do you want to answer that? Is that okay with you guys?
He can unmute himself now if you'd like to speak.
Does he know how?
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
First of all, let me say hello to everybody. And Brother Ernest, man, it was my pleasure to spend some time with you guys and like I said, chop it up here. It really was just about that. And Chris and everybody that was there, it was my honor. So thank you for that. I got as much of it out of it as you did and the rest of you. Go ahead. I don't want to infringe on this interview. It really is, Corey. I got on because 2 reasons. I support my man, Corey, wholeheartedly, and I support what the NGC is doing here in trying to get a platform to just really have some raw conversation. So I talked with, and most of you don't know, I talked with my man, John, the other night, and we had a really good conversation. And so the bottom line is that this gives everybody an outlet to be able to ask questions and speak and do the things that they need to do to be heard. And this is Corey's evening, so I'm going to allow you, my brother, to go ahead and deal with this. I'm not going to fringe on your time here. All right?
Good seeing you, brother.
Yes. And I have an executive council meeting in the morning too. And I'll be
you can
So,
blame it on us.
real
James is
quick,
late.
James, Corey actually let us in on that you're a fan of rap, and that was actually an interesting surprise. We found out you quoted Master P on his podcast.
Yeah, yes. You know, I love all kind of music, and particularly R&B and some good rap. And so, yes, I did. I brought Corey up to speed when
You
we
didn't know
were
who Master
in
P was?
New York
No
on
Limit?
Too Short. I told him, I said, I have to live my life vicariously through him because I just don't partake in, not that I think people are bad to do this, just not how I roll or how I flow with the profane language. Nevertheless, but I tell Corey, I said, I got a cue for you, man. When I want you to tell somebody off in a profane way, I'm going to say, what's my favorite word? Biatch. You got to say it like Short.
John, I'm sorry.
Too Short knows. Yeah. So nevertheless, I don't want to detract from you guys from the Zoom here too much tonight. But thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work. I encourage you to continue to build and bring in. And this is a community, all of us. And I'll leave it like this and say, I'm no better than any one of you. This is why when Ernest was talking about when I sat down, and I wasn't intending to sit down for as long as I did, but everything that I do is what has been stated here, and everybody that is can, I guess, gravitates to is authenticity. And so whatever the flow is the flow that I go. You know, there's times when I'm speaking and our logo, the lion, just comes out because it's part of me. And then there's times, what you said, that you just need to, just have a general conversation and be professional and whatever the case may be. Well, what you will always do is get the truth and get honesty because I care, he care, and every one of you care because every one of you could have been anywhere else tonight and you're not. You're right here. So bless each and every one of you guys. And I will definitely catch each and every one of you on the flip-flop. All right, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, the thing about James is he's not a politician. If that's what you're looking for when you talk to him, when he's on Zooms, when he's in meetings, James is not a politician. You got a lot of people that are flute players, they're Pied Pipers, and they want you to follow them because they sound good playing their flute, and that's what you have a lot of right now running for president are flute players, and because they sound good, and that attracts people because they sound good. James is not a politician. James's weapon is a fucking sledgehammer. And I've known this guy. We talk often. We talk a lot. People see the calm demeanor that you have right here, but James is a fucking sledgehammer. And we are peas in a pod. Obviously, our personalities are a little bit different, but make no mistake about who this guy is and the things that he's done for this union, for the city letter carrier. You can make no mistake about it. I've always said that if I was an arbitration advocate, I could introduce James as an expert witness as a formal Step A representative. He is a facilitator at the Advanced Formal Step A and Beyond class. I could introduce James Henry as an expert witness at the DRT. Nobody knows as much about the DRT as James Henry does. I can introduce James Henry to the arbitrator as an expert witness, as an arbitration advocate, with almost 160 arbitrations that are in the books at an 84% win percentage. There's nobody else running that I could do that for. This dude is city letter carrier through and through. All he's done in his career is fought for the city letter carrier. I don't need to sell James to anybody. His record does that. But yeah, be careful following those flute players that sound good, that want you to hear them. That's not James. He's not a politician. He's a fucking sledgehammer. And so, to my man's question, he talked about the Constitution and the president's powers. We see now what absolute power is doing, and that's what the Constitution gives the president is absolute power. and it is killing us right now. We've never had this issue before, and it is absolutely killing us. And so, yes, there needs to be some kind of checks and balances. And I'm sure James would agree with that. There needs to be some kind of checks and balances. If you have a man of integrity, you have a woman of integrity, you don't need to worry about that stuff. If you have those that love the city letter carrier, you never ever have to worry about that stuff. If you have those that put the city letter carrier first, which they should, you never have to worry about those things. You've never had it addressed before, this clown we have, because he thinks about one thing and one thing only, his power. He loves one thing and one thing only, himself. He's a narcissist. He cannot do anything wrong. And so, unfortunately, we're reaping what we've sown with this Constitution, giving him absolute power.
Yeah, thank you, brother. And one last thing, and this is not a question. Just wanted to say, again, thank you. And we were those dumb kids trying to get the funding for that room at the convention. Me and Tyler. I don't know if we would have gotten there without you. So thank you so much, brother. People like you and Grosskopf who support us very early. And for those who, I know you preach your name a lot, and I know me and Mallory don't know each other, but to give people a little story about her, man. When I originally asked Badmouth to help me make a Discord channel, he reached out to her, and this kid, went out there and helped us formulate bots and stuff that I've been programming for a while. I couldn't figure this shit out. For her to do that on her own time and has not gotten any recognition and never asked for recognition. Mallory, thank you so much, sister. I know I've never spoken to you, but we appreciate it immensely at the Build of Fighting in AOC. And so these are just, to see all you guys on and to finally get a chance to tell you face to face how much I appreciate your work, because I know I don't say it nearly as often. But thank you, brother, and thanks so much for taking my question.
I love you, my man. I appreciate you, baby.
Love you too, brother.
All right, awesome. This is what a lovely podcast we have, man. I feel good just being here. Thank you. All right, so up next we have Greg, Badmouth, and then Matt Copson.
Let's keep going, man. I can get here all night.
Hey, Corey, Greg Samuel, Branch President 334. I think it's great that you guys came on for this long. We're almost at the 3-hour mark. So I want to thank you for that and for staying on. And as probably one of the few people that actually I wouldn't say I like politics, but I follow it. Doing stuff like this is like the equivalent of like a candidate going out to the rural part of the country and appealing to the regular folk. So I think that's key. So I just wanted to say, thank you for that. So before I bore everybody with my Article 8 question, or your opinion on the Article 8 in the tentative agreement, I just wanted to say, as one of the people that helped organize the Boston rally with all these guys, and it was a team effort. It was James and I were the only presidents there, or that organized it. And for this random group of rank and file carriers to come together and to be on Zooms at 11 o'clock on a Friday night and to be texting nonstop on WhatsApp the next night, right before the rally, the fact that we pulled it off. Chris and I said the next day, we did it. We pulled it off, and it was a team effort. So when I see people like this, and the whole conversation is these guys and girls need to be involved in the union. And when your local stops you from getting involved, just keep trying to get involved, because if they're stopping you, they don't want you to take their job. We just had an election, and I said somebody can run against me. I just got reelected. Nobody ran against me. And I said I'm not going to hate you if you run against me. It shows me that I'm doing something wrong. So just to keep things moving, as a branch president, this Article 8 stuff in the tentative agreement that he snuck through in that last page, which drove me absolutely crazy. I don't believe in these new lists. And I think the fact that he told us at one of the rap sessions that the post office, they want it. So then it's bad, right? And I don't understand, and maybe you can help, or someone a lot smarter than me. I don't understand how these lists can ever be equitable. He's going to have a non-schedule only list, 8 hours, and if you have fixed days off, there's no way that can ever be equitable. And then he's going to have a scheduled day up to 12 hours list. How do you make that equitable? And he said recently, and I think it was one of our president's meeting when I think Paul actually asked him about this. You just have to be equitable within in that list. That's going to be so hard. And I feel like it's something that he gave in on because it's like the carrot. Like, hey, more people can work overtime, and guess what? The post office doesn't have to do. They don't have to hire anybody else. Well, they're paying them shit anyways. But it's like an out for the post office. So I just wanted your opinion on how, like, I'm pulling my hair out reading this, how I can ever get these lists to be equitable. And thanks again for staying on so late.
Yes,
Corey,
sir. Yes.
I do want to say something because I'm privy to it. Today we had the executive board meeting, just as it relates to the list that you're speaking on. The Article 8 changes, according to the president, at least will not take effect this quarter. I know some people were thinking they're not going to take effect this quarter, nor will they take effect until the new pay rates actually get programmed in. That's from what we were told today. So I just wanted to pass that information on because I know a lot of people would be asking, all right, are we going to be doing these new lists today, tomorrow, come the beginning of the quarter? They're not going to go in effect at least this coming quarter. They're not going to be in effect. That's what he says. And then could be longer than that whenever the new pay rates are programmed into the system is when they're supposed to become effect at that point, whether it's at the beginning of the quarter, at the end of the quarter, or whatever the case may be. So nevertheless, I do have to prepare because I am flying out tomorrow evening. I got other things I got to go ahead and do, but I do want to show my respect and say bye to everybody and appreciate you. Much love and respect. All right, be blessed, everyone.
All right, James. Love you, brother. See you, man.
Likewise.
Hey, Corey, can I just say that I've asked Brian probably 10 questions in my career as president, and he's never given me a straightforward answer like James just gave. I feel like if I asked him when will this take place, he said, well, brother, maybe it'll take place this quarter, maybe it'll take place next quarter. So I just want to thank James for actually giving me an answer where I didn't scratch my head. So
I'll give Brian Renfro this, and this is something spectacular that he does. And he can speak for 3 hours and not say a thing. It's amazing. The gift that guy has, the gift of gab, where he can speak for 3 hours and you don't know what in the fuck he just said. But
another rap reference. He's a rapping acrobat.
Yes, yeah. You're like, what in the fuck did he just say? And
right. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Article 8 was a complete concession by us. It was a complete concession. Here's the thing. I read this the other day where management's biggest expenditure are quarterly overtime grievances. Millions and millions and millions of dollars because management can't get that right. This is 100% concession, my man, because he's doing everything humanly possible to save the post office from any kind of payout. When you have 3 different lists, it makes no sense when you look at it. When you try to explain it to somebody, this is the first thing that we talked about when it came out was this all these different lists. I remember JB, who is an expert at quarterly overtime grievances. I mean, this dude wins thousands of dollars every quarter doing quarterly overtime. He's got the verbiage down pat, and he's sitting there saying, "What in the fuck is all of this? You're going to have 3 different equitability lists, one 12-hour list, one non-scheduled. If you want to work your day off, you can. If you want to, this motherfucker has fucked us over with this. And again, it's 100% concession. Everything that was dealing with the contract was 100% concession by us. There's no doubt that management came to him about these quarterly overtime, showing him the amount of money we lost. How can we remedy that? How can we remedy all this money we've lost because management
get better managers,
right? Yeah, because we can't get these right. The union's killing us in quarterly overtime grievances. You got to help us out. So he did this bullshit, and I don't know, brother. I mean, it's 100% concession, and it's another thing in a long list of line of him completely fucking us over. But I think it's because the biggest expenditure they have in Article 8 is quarterly overtime grievances. And so they tried to address it and ended up fucking it up. He's hurt the letter carrier, the shop steward, because You got shop stewards at small stations. They'll never understand what that means. They'll never file a quarterly overtime grievance because they have no idea what the fuck how to translate that shit.
Corey, you think he's ever said to management, if you want to stop these grievances, start following the contract?
No.
Do you think he's ever said that? Because I could save the post office millions of dollars tomorrow by telling my supervisors, showing them the JCam and saying, this is how you run the post office. So I think that's what we need to do from our side is, that's how you save money, guys. So thank you for letting me ask the question.
He's never done that. And this is how you know, because he put Paul Barner over the grievance procedure. And what does Paul Barner do? Instead of telling Lloyd, hey, I'm not going to tell him not to do a cease and desist. You need to educate your people and quit violating the contract. You wouldn't have to worry about a cease and desist. Educate your people down at the lower levels about how to abide by the contract, and you would never have to worry about a cease and desist. Instead, what do? We're the ones who bend and say, hey, cease and desist, y'all need to quit doing that. Y'all are weaponizing that. We did that. And Barner is his appointee. He appointed Barner to that position. So he is carrying Renfro's water. I mean, that's Renfro's guy. So if he wanted that corrected, Renfro would come in and say, don't ever go into another meeting and tell people no more cease and desist or we're weaponizing that. Don't ever do that again. That's one of the only things we have about noncompliance. How to defeat noncompliance is to cease and desist. That's the ground level of what we need. And for Barner to go in there and say we're not going to do cease and desist anymore and agree with Lloyd, it shows you everything you need to know about Barner and Renfro. They're not going to say, y'all need to learn the contract. They're going to come after us. They're going to say, we're the ones, we're the bad guys. We need to quit doing cease and desist. So, yeah, he would never tell management to abide by the contract because he's too fucking foolish.
All right. So we just get some news. I think Mallory, you got some news you want to share? I know you wanted to. I know everyone who's been waiting patiently. I do apologize, but
I'll make this quick.
Okay, if you can make it quick, we'd appreciate it.
So the Region 6 WebEx was today, alongside at the same time a Region 9 WebEx. Some updates that we got at those WebExes. NERP is live, the new employee retention program. So all the concessions of that are live. Any memos from the tentative agreement are live unless they were otherwise stated, like the 180 days or that it was like a task force or something. The work rule about the fixed office time does not apply to the S&DC memo when it comes to route adjustments. It will only affect future route adjustment processes like the dual, whatever, like the T-REAP and all that. Back pay will be after the pay is fixed, and the pay will be fixed in 3 pay periods is what they claim. Article 8 will start once headquarters gets the automatic pay for going over penalty overtime fixed. The national agreement text should be out within about 30 days. The JCAM they're expecting by June or July-ish. The 1260 right to refuse is for everybody. And May 27th to June 26th is the LMOU period. And that's all I had.
Hey, thank you for that update. All right. Up next is Badmouth, Matt Copson, and then Rudy. Oh, is Badmouth here?
Found it. You just missed
there he is.
Badmouth.
Okay.
Yo.
There you are. All right. Welcome, brother.
Okay, so I just want to say real quick about the CCA position. Corey was talking about that shit. And I just want to I put out a little video a little bit ago about how we need to be angry, we need to be sad, and we need to get it out of our system so it gets down to a usable level where we can grab that energy and use it. Because anger gets shit done, but hope sustains. Like fucking Boyd down here in Region 10 asked me to speak at this rally, right? We do these rallies after they co-opted them from us. They co-opted them from us, and instead of doing rallies that would seem like counter rallies, we joined their rallies. I was definitely recruiting people into the BFN the whole time, but like, we're there to support. After this rally, I spoke at this rally. I immediately went and had to sell fucking plasma I got track marks on my fucking arms in order to make rent. And then we find out a day later that we were sold out 2 days prior. And he held that shit from us. Corey, you on your podcast recently were calling for his resignation. That is something that is a war drum that I have been banging on for a while. And you throwing your weight behind that to make it feasible now is important. So my question is, right now I'm trying to organize, get the rank and file into calling for his resignation too. My question for you, Corey, and for the CLC, Jesus Christ. Sorry, there's June bugs out here like mad. I had one guy caught in my beard earlier. I threw my phone. But my question is, how serious is the CLC about calling for Renfro's resignation? And when they will inevitably, because to me, Brian Renfro, this pushing through a TA that was voted down 71 to 28%, pushing that through anyway. It's no more can we pretend that he is just inept. He's not Mr. Bean. He's not a bungling fucking prick at this point. He is actively working against us. Any fucking comments trying to just say he's stupid, no, he's smart. He's a good operator. He is an agent of privatization. And I say that because pushing through a TA that the membership voted down in such a historic fucking way, means they're trying to get you to quit. They're trying to get people to retire earlier. They're trying to make sure that anyone coming in afterwards, like, I'm an idiot. I'm stupid for sticking around here at less than $20 a fucking hour. I got 2 years on April 1st in a couple days. But I'm stupid for sticking around here. Like, I should have left and got a job at Quick Trip, the gas station up the fucking street that I could walk to, where the guy who I buy my coffee from makes more money than me. Like, this Brian Renfro is going to frame any calls for his resignation as being being against the anti-privatization movement. I want to know, is the CLC serious about asking for his resignation? And how do they want to resist the fact that the CLC, just like the Democratic Party, will blame fucking progressives every time they fail at their bullshit? Our union will blame the reform caucuses every time we get a loss. What is the CLC's position as far as fighting the narrative that us working for a change is contrary to their anti-privatization efforts? And what is how serious are we about calling for this resignation? Because I am here right now banging on that drum. And I want to make sure that we frame this fucking bearded turnip who has done nothing but gut us, and this dirty rat fink bastard who has done nothing but fuck us over at every turn. I want to make sure that we frame him as an agent of privatization. He is working with the Joy. He's working with anyone who's trying to gut us. And I want to know what the plan is to frame him as such so we can call for his resignation. So that's sorry, I'm fired up. I'm gonna get back to my. I'm a mute. I'm a mute real quick.
Hey, Badmouth, can you hear me? Do you ever
Badmouth, where are you? Come back, Badmouth.
He can hear you. He's just
He
muted.
can hear
you.
Do you ever sit down?
I'm getting dizzy watching this. If you're on Zoom, everyone's getting vertigo right now. It feels like you're on a spaceship for the last 3 hours. You've not stopped moving.
Hey, listen.
Okay, hold on. I got really bad ADHD. And I pace like a motherfucker. And like there's 3 medications that I need to be straight. I got 2 of the 3. Imagine when I get the 3rd one. Y'all are gonna fucking like lose it. But yes, no, everything's fine over here. I'm just.
I was about to say, leave my man alone. He got ADHD.
Hey, my man, he's every time I see him, he's walking around. So I'm like, my man never sits down.
I can't sit still. I've never been brought up on charges of a stationary event.
No.
They can't get me on that shit.
Yeah. I'll vouch for that. I'll come defend you myself. I say, y'all got the wrong motherfucker here. He ain't never been a stationary day in his life. But on the resignation, 100%. You heard James Henry even call for his resignation. So yes, the CLC is 100% behind this motherfucker resigning. I think Mallory's in the process of getting some kind of something together for people to sign electronically or whatever to get this sumbitch to resign. At some point, you have to say, when is enough enough? It's become obvious when you talk about he's an agent of privatization. I don't know that, but it's become obvious that he does not have the city letter carrier's best interests at hand. It's obvious of that. He does not. And so if you don't have the city letter carrier's best interests at hand and you are the top dog, what do we do with you? We ask for you to resign. And it's past time. We've not done it. We're trying to get through this TA. A lot of people are saying, hang on, wait for the TA. Then you're going to wait for this arbitration. And you see that both of them were equally catastrophically terrible to the city letter carrier. The TA was, we had an opportunity to vote that down, and we did. And then he ended up signing this memo again, like I said, and was able to get the TA pushed through anyway. It's a complete sellout. The TA was 100% management. And so with the privatization thing, I don't know bad mouth. I can't accuse him of that. If I had more, something to support that with, I would accuse him of it. But I can't accuse him of dereliction of duty. I can prove that very easily. But as far as the privatization thing, I'll be in a position to address political stuff when we're elected, and I will make sure that we do 100 times better job protecting not only the city letter carrier craft, but the postal service. I have to have the postal service. It's vital that I have the postal service. That's where I work. And so, I'll be in a position where I can get some very skilled, talented people from both sides to go over there and nonstop knock on doors and talk to people. But I just think Brian is not a true union person. I know that he says his father was. I just don't think he's a true union person. He's used as a opportunity to get a position where he doesn't have to deliver. He's very well spoken. People like to hear him talk. That's why I'm saying he's a flute player, and he's never done a fucking thing in his life as far as fights. So, hey, we fucked up. I fucked up. I endorsed the son of a bitch when he first ran. I told him that I thought he had a hell of a ticket. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life was supporting that son of a bitch. And so I was the first one to call for his resignation, and I support that 100%.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Corey.
All right. Hey, can I hop in real quick?
Yeah, sure. One more follow if you could. Just keep it quick if you could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'll keep it brief. Okay. Thank you, Corey.
Yes, sir.
What we're doing down here in Texas, because I've worked with, I talk to Ernest Gonzalez all the time. Us troublemakers down here in Texas, we are. I've been spamming the fucking chat talking about it. We are going to basically make a rank and file call for his resignation. That it would be great if the CLC joins us in that. It would be great if you join us in that. The
I'll join
idea
you.
is, yeah, the idea is like I don't get no play for my branch, but I know cats who will show up to hang out and us just sit, us all get together for just a hot second, crack some beers, and talk about all the reasons why Brian Renfro needs to fucking go, and record those videos all across the country. I've already talked to BFN cats in fucking Iowa, and I talked to Capone. I have like us doing a rank and file thing because you called for the resignation within 60 days. So it would be dope if we could release a video every couple days of the rank and file calling for that resignation up to that 60-day period that you put out. So I just wanted to say, I keep spamming it in the chat. Fucking June bugs. God damn. I keep spamming it in the chat. That's my personal number. I'm on my 5-day break. I'm making PTF next week, baby. Woo!
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yes. All right. I love you guys. Thank you, Corey.
All right, brother. Hey, whatever you need me to do, man, I'll do it. Whatever you need me, I'll help however I can.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for that, Bat Mouth. So up next we have, and here's a full list: Matt Compson, Rudy from Branch 69, Aaron Jones, Derek, Ken, James, Mike, Brian.
Let's do it, baby. I'm ready.
All right. As long as you go. I know it's late. For us here in the East Coast, it's 11 o'clock. So, but like I said, go as long as you can. If you throw in the flag anytime you want, brother.
Try to keep the questions short for other people too, guys.
Yes,
let's keep it
everybody
going.
can ask them.
I'm ready. Who's next?
Matt,
All right.
Oh, you are. Okay.
You can hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Cool beans. So my question is, with the CLC coming in, right? Because you're going to fucking win in 2026. So education, right? Shop stewards, alternate shop stewards and everything. They're going to learn no matter what, right? You're going to have some sort of platform to educate the masses. Yes.
Yes, sir.
To any office, any branch, anything. So everyone who is willing to learn is able to.
Yes. Yes. Or you want to know how I'm going to do that?
Oh, fuck yes.
All right. What is that you have on right there? Is that devil's horns you got on your head?
Oh, fuck yeah. I can't see myself right now. I am very not good with Zoom.
Amazing.
Not only are we a podcast, we're also a show. You know, we entertain factor and everything. We brought the whole thing to you, Corey. Rap music, devil horns, bad mouth. It's everything.
We're covering all tonight, baby.
The city letter carrier craft is the greatest thing in history, right? Aren't we the best? Yeah, I love the fun. You go from bad mouth to a dude wearing devil's horns. I mean, I love my people, man. I love the shit out of the city letter carrier, son. I mean, this is what it's all about. And my man sound like he's fucked up. Is he drunk?
Well, I was trying to keep up with you based on how much you swear.
You don't ever do that.
No, I have learned my lesson, and I will never do this again.
No.
What?
I love you, brother. Here's what we're going to do, and I talked a little bit about this earlier. And not just shop stewards. I want the city letter carrier craft educated. I think that the workroom floor needs to be educated, and we will give everybody an opportunity to learn. We will not gatekeep education with the CLC. James Henry wants everybody educated. I want everybody educated, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I said earlier that we've already got people in place. They will come out later, but we'll have mentorships where those shop stewards that are new will have a mentor and can help them. That will happen. We'll have portals that people can go to that they can educate themselves. They can learn. I've always said, if you want to be an expert, you can be an expert. That completely depends on you. The amount of time that you put into it. I remember when I first started out, if people have listened to me for any period of time, I didn't have all the access to things that people had. I remember Lou Drass was my business agent at the time, and he would send me boxes and boxes. I'm talking about big ass paper boxes and filled with B team decisions where I could look at issue statements and things like that. And I wanted to make sure that I protected my people when I took on being a shop steward. I wanted to be the best that's ever done it. And so I fully understand education. I fully understand that you'll be as smart as you want to be. So we'll give you the opportunity to be experts. So we'll have portals that you can go into, look up things from basic shit all the way up to the top. We'll have Zooms. I'll make sure of that where people can ask questions if people have issues. And we may have several different people do Zooms that are experts at the grievance procedure. And people can call in if they have problems and can get some real-time guidance. In person training, I'm going to call those individuals travelers because they're going to go from place to place. You've got RGAs now, but there's only one per region. And so we need travelers. We need people to say, hey, here's a station, 80 miles away from the closest branch. It's one shop steward, got two carriers down there. They're overwhelmed. And we'll be able to send somebody in to educate that steward. And that position will be a traveler position. And we just made that shit up, but that's going to happen. We'll have WebExes for people, and I'm talking about carriers and stewards and Formula A's so that people can understand what's going on in real time, just like these metrics, the hour office time where they can educate themselves on that, ask questions about that. You have this hour office time, the stationary events, things that are going on real time where people can get on there. We'll have those hot topics for them. I think that every business agent should be doing that right now, but they don't. I don't know why. They're the ultimate gatekeepers. To me, the business agent should be the ultimate badass. They should be educating their people. And I'm not just talking about the stewards. They should be educating the workroom floor, the city letter carrier. And then we'll have the white papers. And to me, that's critical. I've learned more from those, especially on dispatch of value, window of operation, things like white papers that you can have, get in hand. You can print those out. And it tells you the history of things, like the dispatch of value, the history of that, decisions for and against, and issue statements, what you're going to need, stuff like that. We'll have those available. But yeah, education is there's two things that are most important to me. Toxic working environment, because that affects your house, and I'm not going to have it. I will not tolerate it. And education. An educated workforce is the most devastating thing we can have. So.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for that, Corey. All right. Up next, we have Rudy from Branch 869.
Puerto Rico. I am Rudy. My real name is Rodolfo Concepcion, but Rudy, for it's better in English. I have like one suggestion and two questions.
Yes, sir.
My first suggestion was about Karef, right? I think that I was with you. I am with you about his betrayal. I think it is more like a betrayal of his word, right? And he has to put out to everyone like, hey, why do you quit the CLC? That's the main reason that everybody wants, because you were with the CLC, why you left. And and because we cannot split the votes. Nobody wants to split the votes. That's the main. Everybody don't want to split the votes against Renfro because we are afraid, that he could win. Now, the other question will be about the resignation of Renfro, right? That right now people are quitting union dues because his lack of leadership, right? I send you a message by messenger that I wanted to do a letter for him for his resignation about that, right? But now more people are quitting. Now I see on Facebook that everybody wants to quit the dues right now, right? So that's something that we should bring to the council and and explain that. And other thing that I'm afraid of is Pony Boy Warner, right? I think that he was with him. So I think the Chargers should be also with him because he was all the way with it on the TA. He was saying that the TA was the best, and we have videos of him explaining that it was that we have to vote yes for the tentative agreement. I think we should have those both resignation, not only Renfro, also Barnes, because if not, we're gonna have Barner as president, tentative president. But I think that's one. And the other thing that I want to state is that some people are like a little bit afraid of James Henry, right? I trust I trust that now I'm fact because many of my coworkers know how James Henry is, so I trust that he's in good faith, the best candidate. But many people doubt it right now because he's right now on the administration, like Ernest said, he's right now on the administration, and he did make the first charges of him that we saw in Boston, right? But after that, he haven't like promoted like how we can fight against Renfro and his dictatorship right now. Those are my three questions, about it.
Yeah. All right. And I appreciate you giving me that short version of your name. Give me that full name again.
Rodolfo Concepcion.
Yes. Thank you.
It's very Rudy.
The way I fuck names up, brother, thank God you gave me some Rudy. I can do that much easier. But yeah,
yes,
I believe Cariff, and again, I love the guy. I think
I know, and he's doing good, but why do you betray? Why he betray you? That's something that he got to put out and not try to evade it because the primary, like you said, is like we don't need a primary between you two. The primary we need is Renfro and the other representative, and we cannot have three presidents. Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think Cariff wanted to be president. I think that he was looking to the CLC and was hoping that he would be the pick of the CLC, and he wasn't. But I just think that he ultimately he wanted to be president. He didn't want another position, and that's fine. But it's just how all that was handled. It was very unprofessional how he handled all that, and so I think that he wanted to be president when he got voted down as the CLC. Instead of just going and saying, "Hey, I appreciate it, love you guys, I'm going to run," he started trashing the CLC. We were we were discombobulated. We didn't know what was going on and all this stuff. And to me, that was very unprofessional. And we bit our tongue as long as we could. And then we had to come out. And eventually, you're going to have to defend yourself. But people and their union dues, I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it in the future. The worst thing we can possibly do right now is get out of the union. First off, you can't vote if you're not a good person, carrier in good standing.
Can I talk?
Yes, go ahead.
The reason is that many people see it like, hey, the only way that I could affect the top level national union is by quitting the union dues, but that's the ones that affect are the smaller branches. But but it's the only way that they see that, hey, people are quitting because of his leadership. That's how people see it. Like they are earlier on they say like, oh, on the rallies there weren't a lot of people, but they have to think that people are disappointed on the union. And since we are doing the rallies, the people are disappointed. That's why they are not going. They don't believe in the union anymore. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I would implore people not to get out of the union. That is the worst. The union has $500 million in the bank. Renfro's going to get paid regardless. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't give a fuck about us.
Mhm.
But you need to, like I said, you get out of the union, you're not going to be able to vote, and so you're kind of like
But
James Henry said, you're cutting off your nose
they'll
to
sign
spite
in
your face.
again before the votes. That's
Yeah,
what they're saying. They'll say, "Okay, I will sign on November before the votes and
yeah.
sign in."
Well,
You know,
I can't
that's
make them
their
stay in.
mentality. That's their
Yeah,
mentality. That's because
yeah,
I told you already that in my station I already have 5 people that already sign out, and they're just waiting for their annual year to receive the dues. Other 3
yeah.
people.
As far as Barner's concerned, you know, the Constitution gives the president sole authority. So your charges will go against the president. You
Okay.
had business agents coming out in his defense. You had business agents coming out trying to sell this TA to us. You had branch presidents coming out trying to sell this TA to us. You had executive officers trying to come out here, resident officers coming out trying to sell this TA to us. But the one that's responsible for the TA is Renfro. And so that's the one you're going to bring charges against because he's got full power. He made sure that he cut everybody else out. Nobody else had a say. Nobody else knew what was going on. And so you're going to bring charges up against that son of a gun because I almost said that word that John told me I couldn't say. But
Okay.
you're going to bring charges up against that dude. And as far as Henry is concerned, remember James Henry was not seeking to be a resident officer. Fred Rolando went and got him, and he got him because of his popularity amongst his region, his what he's done as far as the city letter carrier and helping the city letter carrier. And
No.
so he's only been up there about a year and a half when all this shit was going on. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Mike even said that James Henry wasn't a voice for change up there. And yet Mike's been up there 10 years and James was up there a year and a half, and both of them announced their bid for presidency at the same time. And so, you know, James Henry was the he's he's been up there and he's been lied on. He's got stuff been accused of shit. He got blackballed. He's had stuff removed from him, and so yeah. I mean, I don't think that we can hold James Henry accountable for anything. He's been up there about a year and a half when he says, "Hey, I'm gonna run for president because shit's not going well." So
No,
All right.
I believe that,
Hold
but
on,
the
just if
problem.
I can just say, we're going on 3 hours right now. So we do have we have about 6 other people.
come on, let's
So if we
go.
could just, yeah, all right. Only because I know Corey and look at John. Everyone look at John right now. John's asleep. He's been up since 2 a.m. This poor man. We definitely want to have you back on. So that's the thing. But if we could just get through these questions, and because I don't know, John's gonna edit this, and I feel bad. John may die sleeping, right? Look at that. So he's all right. So if everyone could just ask like a short 2-minute question for the rest, and then hopefully we can have Corey back on. We can do more Q&A because this is fun. I really enjoyed it. But all right. So I just want to have Aaron, Derek, Ken, James, Mike, Ryan, and Rick. If you go over 2 minutes, I'm just gonna intervene. I don't like doing it, but just for the sake of time, I'm just gonna intervene if you're going over 2 minutes for your question.
Let's do it. Who's next?
There you go. Easy. Go for it, Aaron. Just
Hey,
your name
Corey,
and branch if you could.
Aaron Jones, branch 404. First time listener, long time caller. Yeah, got a quick two-part question. Tonight we've heard that James Henry has excellent taste in rap, and we already knew that Renfro was a juggalo. What's on Corey Walton's playlist?
This is the honest to God's truth, and you can ask my wife. I will play like we drove to Texas. I'll play country music for 6 hours, then I'll play 80s music for another 6. I love R&B. I love rap, especially Run DMC, LL Cool J, and anything back then, Curtis Blow, anything like this. Really anything besides I even like a little bluegrass, but yeah, I'll listen to just about anything because when I was an arbitration advocate, I traveled all over the Southeast. And so I would just get on YouTube and push in rap, and I'd listen to it. I know every word to every song ever written. But I love just about every genre. I love it.
Awesome. John Murphy, I'm Waco, Texas. And second part of my question, you mentioned on the newest From A to Arbitration episode that you are going to file charges on Renfro.
Yeah.
Are you going to have the rank and file sign on to that? I know that Mike Cariff did his electronically. However, the investigator threw ours out because it's electronically. If you do file charges and let us sign on, can we do it physically so it doesn't get thrown out?
And Mallory, can you answer that for me?
I'm looking into it. I'll have an answer for that like next week. I'll figure
All right.
something out.
Right.
I've been busy, but next week for sure we will have an answer.
I'll get with you on the Discord, Mallory. Thank you.
Yeah. She reached out to me about that. She was ahead of the game on that as far as getting people to sign on. So yes, to answer your question, yes, just don't know how yet.
All right. Awesome. Derek K, if you could just give your name and branch number and how to pronounce your last name, because I give up.
You are a coward, sir. It is Cross R. Derek Cross R, Branch 10, Hiawatha, Kansas.
That's amazing. All right.
And my question for Corey is, we hear all the time about carriers who are living out of their cars or just, sleeping anywhere, homeless. And is there anything that we could do to try to help them going forward when you get into office?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you look at John Cruz up there in Brooklyn, who is an absolute fucking beast as a president. He goes in and makes accommodations in their union hall. So there's you something right there. I mean, if we have to put in, if you have carriers that are homeless, if we had to put in some kind of living facility in union halls, I don't know why we can't do that. Of course, we don't want to promote people to just come up there and live, but it's bad times right now for the city letter carrier. It's worse than it's ever been. I've been doing this 32 years. We're in bad a shape right now as we've ever been. And with this current administration, there's no hope in sight. Of course, when the CLC takes over, the city letter carrier will take over. But I think using John Cruz's model would be perfect. And I think that we could have John Cruz come on here with me one time or something, answer some questions about what he's doing, how he did it. But yeah, I think that we should do a lot more for the city letter carrier that's in a bad fucking way right now. And I think that John Cruz has kind of set the blueprint for us on that.
Can I hop in on there too?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to also say that through the Discord in particular, when people send us fundraisers for carriers when something bad happens to them or if they need help with medical expenses, stuff like that, we usually try to share it in announcements like people's GoFundMes and stuff like that. So if anybody ever knows of any carriers who are in financial distress, need help with stuff, we usually try to share that to the people on Discord so that if they have the means to help other people, that it can be shared widely.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So I just want to add, I think Corey Walton has officially become the Iron Man of this podcast. You officially won the title the longest time. Mallory has already pulled up a comfy chair. Murphy's falling asleep.
Yep.
Congratulations.
And you
won
did
the
beat
title.
Brian
We'll print it out
Renfro.
and send it to you.
Yep, you beat Renfro. He was here for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So feel glad about that. So
anybody that can talk longer than that motherfucker's done something. You know what I'm saying?
All right, awesome. Up next we got Ken. All right, Ken, go for it, brother.
Hey, this is Ken Grigsby, Branch 1259, Corpus Christi, Texas. I just kind of wanted to pose 2 questions, or maybe 3. Would you take Cariff in the CLC if he withdrew his candidacy, and where would he fit?
No. And I think that at some point, I think that he would have been welcome. I know that the people in the CLC were fighting like hell for him to come in and, to come back. I spoke to him religiously about, hey, just get with James, man. Just get with James and work something out. If he's telling anybody anything other than that, He's lying. I implored him to come back to the CLC. He does not agree with the CLC, and he'll tell you that. And Mike wants to be president. He does not want another position. I said initially I thought he would be the perfect person for director of city delivery because he knows so much about city delivery. I thought he would have been a perfect candidate for that, and that he could have just stepped right into that role of president when James Henry, finished his term. But I've always said that James Henry needs to be in there right now because of how he organizes, because of his integrity, which is we're missing that. We're losing people left and right because of the integrity of the president now. And but I thought Mike would have been a perfect candidate for director of city delivery because he's so knowledgeable. And I think that ship has sailed because of the things that have transpired. You've got to be honest. You just be on. If you're honest, man, we can overlook a lot of shit. But God dog, I mean, at some point, we just had to cut our ties and wish him the best. I love the guy. I hate how it's transpired, but I would say no.
Okay. I have another question. It's different
Yes, sir.
topic, and I just seem to be beating this one. Do you plan on educating the audience that you have on how to gain public support and not lose influence over our political alliances because of their work ethics? You know how these new kids are just coming along,
Yeah.
and they're just not professional. They're not. I don't know how y'all going to beat them over the head with being professional carriers.
I think the worst thing that's happened was taking the test away to get in. When we had the test to get in, you had to be dedicated because it was a tough little test. You had to get on that register and wait your turn. Of course, with how much we make right now, who wants to take a fucking test to get in here, and you're not going to make no money. So I think that everything is kind of the perfect storm of where we are now. We quit taking the test. You can walk straight in off the street and start delivering mail, and we don't pay anybody. And so who really wants to do that shit? So you're going to get those people that, they can work here for a while and fuck this job. I'll go work at McDonald's and make just as much. Fuck that job, go do something else. So it's kind of the perfect storm of where we are right now. The CCA position, we need to fight harder to do away with that. And I think that there are things that we could put back into place that makes this a more cherished job, one that people look forward to coming into. But as long as you're not paying anybody anything, really, what are you expecting of them? I mean, good work ethic is good work ethic, but it's a tough sell right now.
Yeah, I want you to teach them.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll do what I can.
Thank you. I love you, brother.
Love you, my man. I appreciate you.
All right. Awesome. So after this, we got
somebody asked a question about Dr. Colin. And I think he's the biggest piece of shit that's ever happened to the Postal Service. He's, if you don't know Dr. Colin, he's the one who comes out with these metrics. He's the one that came out with all that stuff. He was in the Eastern area, and he's a management person. But he's the one that's coming out and abusing us with these metrics on the hour office time, the stationary events. That's his thing. And so somebody had asked about him. Can't stand the guy. And he's the one I called Dr. Seuss. And but I don't like him at all. So go ahead. Next question. Sorry about that.
All right. No, that's good. Anytime you get a shit on that guy, that's great. All right. James, Brian, and Rick, and then we are done for the night.
Let's go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. James Alfano from Branch 693 out of New York. I just got a quick question. I understand that we have a need to fight and always fight, whether it be arbitration, whatever the case may be. Do you think that could eventually either hurt our position or make us a stronger position and when we fight going forward?
All right. Help me out, brother. Fight what? What are you talking about? Just in general?
Just in general, whether it be, like I said, through a contractual arbitration, through anything in general.
Yeah, I was under the mentorship, I had Dave Clark, who was my branch president, who brought me in about 2008 to be the formal Step A representative. And that was the mindset then, and that was the mindset that I carried with me. Remember, that's when the district managers called me the boogeyman. And then had Pete Moss as the business agent, who to me was the single baddest motherfucker that's ever worked with the union, was my business agent, Pete Moss. I would put him against anybody in the history of the union as far as being just a badass son of a bitch. Sorry about that, John. Badass. That's the one word John said don't do, and doggone. But
shit happens.
sorry, but and as an arbitration advocate, he got me into that and taught me the just fighting like hell, the real fighting like hell, not the one this stupid motherfucker we got now does. But so that's all I know, my man. And I think that as a union, by design, you fight every fucking thing you can for the city letter carrier. You do not give an inch. You do not give management any quarter. You fight your ass off. And I think that if you do that, management will concede rather than us. Management fights everything. They come up with everything. Look at what they're doing with these telematics, with the stationary events, the hour office time, the metrics, where they talk about these parameters. They're forcing them down our throats as standards. And management does that. They fight every fucking thing. The shop steward is busier now and exhausted because of the things that management is doing to us. And why are they doing that? Because we do not fight. And so I think you cannot fight enough. And I think we are, when the CLC gets in there, I think you'll see us fighting every single thing. You have got to get these motherfuckers off of us, and you do that by meeting them in the street head to fuck on. And you got to fight. Yes, sir. And so, yeah, I don't say back up for a fucking thing. And as soon as we're in there, these motherfuckers are going to know that the alphas are back in this motherfucker, and we're going to fight. Every fucking thing we can fight, we're going to fight these motherfuckers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, that's a clip right there. I love that line. All right, up next, we got Mike, and then Brian and Rick. I'm sorry, Brian's next. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, Brian from Branch 12, Central Mass. A couple quick questions for you, Corey. Is there any update on Mr. Noble's court case to rerun the election? And do you think he could get a rerun? And do you think he could win the rerun?
I have not. He has not reached out to me. He usually reaches out to me quite often. I've not heard anything. I have no updates on that. I think it would be a very interesting vote this time around with the members. I think it'd be very interesting. I know people, a lot of people saying it doesn't matter. They're going to vote for Renfro just because it's Noble. I know Kerr said he would vote for Renfro again. Others that I respect said that they would vote for Renfro again. And I would not. I would not vote for that motherfucker if he was running against my great grandmother, and she's been dead for about 30 years. And so I wouldn't vote for that son of a bitch. Dadgummit, John, I'm sorry. But here's my thing. Now, I told a story a long time ago in one of my episodes when I was talking about the dealing with the beast of intoxication. And I said that in arbitration, I always talk about the rattlesnake and, how you deal with the rattlesnake. You bring the rattlesnake home and you feed it and you take care of it and you give it a great environment. And you're like, man, I really love my rattlesnake. I hope he loves me too. And you reach down there and try to pet it and it bites the shit out of you and kills you. But here's the thing about Renfro is that Renfro is that snake. And you reach down there the first time, that's the first time we voted, and you reach down there to pet him and he bit you. And you go to the emergency room, you damn near die, and you come back home. Are you going to reach down there and pet that sumbitch again? Do you think that it's learned? Or you're going to say, man, maybe he'll have remorse on me. Maybe this snake realizes what he did to me and he won't do it again. and you reach down there to pet it again. That's how much sense it makes voting for Renfro again. He's shown you what he's about. He's shown you who he is. He's a piece of shit. He does not have our best interest at heart. Why in the fuck would I reach down there and try to pet that motherfucker again? That's Renfro. He's that snake. He's shown me what he's about. I'll take my chances with Noble. I gave Renfro my support the first time, and he has made me pay for that. I mean, I rue the day I voted for that son of a bitch. We didn't know, a lot of stuff was held from us. And once he got in there, we realized he is not a leader. He is not presidential. He does not have our best interests at hand. And so, yeah, I will not reach down there and pet that rattlesnake again. I guarantee you that.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that, Corey. And finally, our last question of the night would be for Rick.
Does Rick win anything for waiting this long with a question?
No, I'll donate it to the CLC.
Come on, I like that.
Hey, all right.
Hey, Rick McLaughlin, branch president, 323 in Logansport, Indiana. Question for you, Corey. It's the same one I'm going to have for Brother James when he's here next month. And Paul and Ernest touched on it a little bit too earlier. When we start beginning to look at resolutions and amendments for the next convention to be brought forward, I think that or at least I would hope that the CLC and others might plan a little early for getting a template started, or at least some type of an educational Zoom meeting to help write these resolutions properly. But not only that, is to forewarn the membership doing it about the parliamentary tricks and goings on the convention floor. Because when they step on that floor, step in front of that mic for the first time, and everything starts spinning around and going a little bit too fast, and then somebody jumps up and calls for the question before we even got any teller votes or anything like that. Kind of like what happened to Tyler Vassar when they had all those supporting branches that went for those resolutions last convention, and they all got tossed out by one vote to lump them all together and just leave one branch as the only resolution to be heard. So anyhow, I just thought if the CLC would plan ahead of time, maybe we can get folks trained up a little bit more than they were for the last convention.
Yes, that's a fantastic point. A fantastic point, because like you say, when you're up there at that mic, shit goes 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And, you're talking and you can hear yourself talk. It kind of knocks you off balance a little bit. And they will run up there to call for the question. And I talked a little bit about that. I don't know if you remember a little bit about that in my episode. But yes, I think the CLC should and will have a template, like you say, get people ready to, when they call for the question, they will immediately do that to get you off balance, to shut you up. And that's a fantastic point. And I can guarantee that the CLC will have something in place where we can educate people. It is a slippery slope when you're dealing with those kind of things. They are more well-versed than we are, and that's what they do. I mean, they are the establishment, and they're well-versed at that mic. They do have game plans, that just like we do. And you talk about Tyler Vassar. They just kept flooding people up there against Tyler, kept flooding people up there against him. Now that dude, he stood his ground, and I love him for it. Fell in love with the guy when he did that, man. What a beast he was. But yeah, that's a fantastic point, my man. I like that.
All right. Well, Corey, at 3 hours and 35 minutes, you have done it.
We made it.
You have the Iron Man, the Next Generation Carrier Podcast Award for the Iron Man right now.
We need to make him a wrestling belt. Boxing belt.
Yep. I'm just getting started.
Rest the whole route now.
Well, we're just going to have to do this all the time, since there's so many questions. It's going to have to be an all the time thing.
Yeah. Is Mallory asleep? Mallory, wake up, girl. We just not getting started.
I thought she got a pillow. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right. I want to thank Corey. I want to thank John. I want to thank Capone. And I want to thank the 194 people I think we had at one point in the Zoom for the Hardcore 99. I think the people in Hawaii are now coming on right now. So, aloha to our fans in Hawaii, where it's about, I think, 6 p.m. So thank you for being here in Hawaii. But I think we've done it. This was a great time. I hope we see you soon. This was really fun for all of us. And in case you don't know, Corey Walton does a show called From A to Arbitration, which is the show I always recommend to people over ours. So if you're following this, please give us a like we're on YouTube, we are on iTunes, and we are on Spotify, where we would greatly appreciate a 5-star review if you could. And please share this with your friends and family. I know Corey's, I think you're going to put it, Mallory, and they're going to have it on their stream too, which is great. Share it anywhere. We don't care how it gets there, but that's great. John or Capone, any final words?
Well, Corey, any final last words on your end?
Yes. Hey, I love what you guys are doing. I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic setup. I love the challenges. You don't take it easy on anybody that's been on here, and I think that's what the people want. If you throw people softball questions all the time, who the fuck cares about that? You guys do a fantastic job. I love your show. I'll promote it as much as I can. I think it's incredible. I'll come on whenever you want me to. We'll do this again. But hey, I love each and every one of you. I do. I love the City Letter Carrier. Everybody that was on here, I love the shit out of them. And we're just getting started with this movement, talking about y'all, talking about me, talking about those on podcasts and YouTubes and things like that. It is a movement, and we're just getting started with it. So I appreciate you guys very much for letting me come on here and spend 3.5 hours with you. I loved every second of it.
All right.
Thank you for coming on.
Awesome. All right, everyone. John. Yep.
I'll wrap up. Thanks again to all. My name is John Murphy, one of the co-hosts, Next Generation Carriers podcast. If you're curious and wondering how to actually get onto these Zooms, because it's kind of a mystery, please check us out on our website, nextgenerationcarriers.com/email. Sign up for our email. We are going to start doing a monthly email. We're going to have a new episode out Sunday for the PTFs, or maybe Friday. Going forward, we're going to start blasting out emails. Corey cannot come on again until we have Richie Ray on and David Groskopf. Those two have to come on before Corey comes on.
Or a roundtable with all of them on.
That would be crazy. That would be good. So thanks again. Anyone is welcome to come on and ask a question. This platform hopefully gets evolved into other branches and other unions as well. This is a rank and file movement. We're just getting started. Thank you.